And we're back, ready for your NA Grand Final. DDK and Jake ready to walk you through this next one. We expect to see McGinnis banned. If not, we expect to see McGinnis first picked, right?
I mean, maybe.
Pretty much. I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head. I think Floormen will absolutely snap pick McGinnis again if melee creeps let it through. And I think it's not like it's impossible to win against this hero, but it does feel like once you're on the back foot, it is so hard, man. Like when McGinnis just chases you down in every team fight. I think they'll definitely want to contest the Ivy, though. That's a really strong pick for Saya, and it would at least take the wings off of the McGinnis.
We will be diving into the draft in just a moment. First, let's remind you who is playing. They have been reigning champs since episode 13. This is episode 30. The melee creeps have been dominant in North America. Saya, John battling for MVP. Scout, Fishcake, Ido, and Do. If you're looking for highlight players, Ido on the Mina, the Assassin, or the burst damage characters has been one of my favorites. If you're looking for consistent play, DDK, who's my screen to watch?
Consistent, I mean, Saya or John, perhaps. I think you could always get there's so many safe hands on the melee creeps team, but if I had to pick two or one, I'd pick two. So John and Saya.
There we go. I like that answer very much. Jake, anyone on the screen that you expect to play one of their signature heroes?
I'm always curious where Do ends up landing in the draft. We've seen him in some games play like a secondary carry to follow up behind John, or sometimes even take the reins if he ends up having a bigger game. We've also seen Do playing like the more versatile spirit carries, frontliners. So really a lot of flexibility from Do. Ido, similar story, right? Can play the Minas, can play the Silvers, right? A lot of variability from those two. And so I think whatever draft they go with, those are the players I have my eye on to do something maybe unpredictable, maybe unexpected, and have pretty consistently big game.
If you're watching this in the future on youtube.com/Deadlock Night Shift, well, this is a reminder of who just won the previous match. They go by the name of the Floormen, and Goober, he goes beyond the Viscous. You just saw what he could do on the Silver. League had the pop-off game on the McGinnis, using that barrage to its best of its ability, and the Ivy was always setting them up, done by Xeno. Let's take a look at DMB, though, as this has been the new addition. What do we like from DMB? What does he bring to the squad?
I think DMB is he's a player with a lot of experience. First of all, he's been in competitive Deadlock since the very, very beginning. He's been one of the many people that have gone through the revolving door of the old Hydra Nation. So he's played with the best, and he's someone that has a very strong M1 carry background. And I think over this like great period of time that he's been playing, he's become like quite a versatile player and a lot more consistent. I think than he was previously. I think the DMB of now is maybe 2 or 3 times the DMB of like a year ago.
Wow. That's some great improvement and short time. We've got to take a look here at our draft. And of course, before that, can we get our picks and our pick priority and a look at the item prioritization? We showed it during EU, and I thought it was interesting to see some items climbing up right behind the healing rights. We've always seen healing at the top spot. Jake, do you expect any new items to break out here in NA? Anything different from what we saw in EU earlier today? I saw you were in our production green room the entire time.
I mean, I was trying to put out some fires, I will say, in the EU section. But I expect Silence Wave maybe to be an item that we see more of. Like, I think there was at least 4 or 5 bought in the last game. I don't know how long-term consistent that's going to be, but I do think that's an item that was really unbought for quite some time. And so might be seeing that pick back up, giving you that opportunity to disable some of the skills from your opponents. Taking a look at some of the hero priority, though, and some of your usual suspects, Silver and Billy still kind of topping the list from the frontliner perspective. But NA and EU have had very different takes, and this has been a much more diverse day than some of our recent night shifts. A lot of heroes getting at least one shot to see play.
Is there a reason Mirage is no longer in play?
I think people are struggling to find his place. Like, Mirage can do like pretty insane burst damage, but I think you got to be pretty specific with some of the builds, and I don't think that he comes online soon enough compared to other like M1 carry options. I think Mirage is always going to be really insane in the super late game, but I think these days, we've got the resurgence of like a Wraith, for example, or you have Yamato that's come back into the picture. I mean, obviously it's not quite the same role, but I think that there are just better options right now. I don't know if you have the same take, Jake.
Yeah, I think I'm a little surprised to see Mirage fall off this hard. I still think there's maybe a place for the character. The tornado lift not being as long is maybe something to think about in terms of like lacking a bit of the control that made the character particularly hard to deal with. But having the double tornado in the late game is also pretty sick for your mobility. So taking a look now at some of the top items, and some of these spirit items have really climbed. I mean, Boundless all the way up to the top 10. I mean, a lot of characters just never ever consider buying this. So to still see 3.2 per game is pretty impressive. Greater expansion though, the item of the patch. I remember we were doing our patch review and I kept trolling and like buying greater expansion on everything just to see how big it could begin. I thought that was a troll, but apparently it's pretty legit.
It like works on so much stuff that it does kind of make sense, because it augments, for like most heroes, it augments almost all of your abilities. So the application is pretty huge, and with that it makes everything a bit more efficient, and you're going to get a little bit more value out of it. So to me, it intuitively makes sense. I gotta say, getting greater expansion is one of those items that just always feels really good. Like even if it's not going to give you like a lot of damage or something, you just feel like a lot better when you have greater expansion.
Cold Front jumping up that list as well. With all that talk aside, it's time for our draft, gentlemen. Let's find out what these players want to play on. Melee Creep's going to get the first ban, and I assume they get rid of the McGinnis. If not,
unless they're going to take it for themselves, I feel like you do just want to get rid of it. I mean, Floormen have just shown it is such a weapon for them. They are so comfortable playing around it. I don't know. Melee Creeps, they've definitely thought about this before today, though. And so they're actually going to prio the Viscous even higher.
No goober.
John is traumatized by that Wraith clip where he got perma-stunned and couldn't blink out. So I can understand this. I wonder if Melee Creeps will even take the first pick McGinnis. That, I think, is the big brain play, to take both of your opponent's strongest tools and deny them.
And speaking of which, John's getting denied with Venator getting picked off by Floormen. So, eye for an eye, Giver doesn't get to play the Viscous. But then again, I feel like you could say this for like literally any hero in John's pool. So, I don't know, but it's going to be the Geist opener instead, which makes sense. Geist is still insanely strong and a very good, comfortable, amazing pick for John too.
Goober says McGinnis +1. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I saw Goober was in chat while waiting on the draft to finish. He says, I called top 1 greater expansion, by the way, AoE slop meta. It's time to shine. If you're not accurate, this is the time to become a pro player, right, Jake?
Yeah. I mean, just buy greater expansion. You're going to be Eterna 6 in no time, guys. It's just that easy. Buy this one. The pros hate this one weird trick. But by the way, I'm pretty sure Floormen are going to get... Okay, they go Celeste actually instead of McGinnis. I thought they were going to take the Ivy McGinnis combo that just devastated in the last game. But they prio the Celeste this time. So I wonder if this is I wonder if this could be a Goober hero. Is that crazy to say?
I don't think it's crazy to say, because the mobility of Celeste is super insane. And I think Celeste is... One of the things about Celeste is that she like, I guess in the old days, Ivy used to be with being able to fly around with the urn. You've got a situation where Celeste is able to do the most insane urn runs, and you won't be able to catch her. So like the objective game kind of changes significantly just because of her movement. And Goober's insanely good at the kind of like dive gameplay. So I think it fits.
McGinnis counter.
Yeah, I like the Sinclair. It's like a preemptive McGinnis counter. And now for Floormen, it's like, do you really want to pick McGinnis into this? I mean, I don't know that it's the end of the world, but it certainly makes you think. They're just going to double down. And we do. I still like this, though, because I think the Ivy combo we saw last game was so sick. Like, the flying McGinnis in is kind of insane. I think Ivy is a great hero to help McGinnis follow up. She, blocking people down with the stone form and the entangling thorns. Like, McGinnis just kills them, before the stun duration is over in those ultis. So they're going to ban away Saya's Kelvin. They don't want to deal with it. What are Melee Creeps going to ban in response, though? I still feel like this is an open draft for Floormen. Yeah, I guess they need frontline, and I say they need hard carry for sure. They're going to prio the meta ban for now, so taking away one of those best-in-class carry options.
Yeah, okay, so it's interesting because, I mean, what are you thinking for that now as well? So Yamato's still available. We saw them go to that before, but maybe with Celeste, you don't want to like invest that super heavy into the spirit damage. Silver makes a lot of sense for sure. Silver's very, very strong. It gives Goober obviously I mean, maybe Goober's going to be on the silver more so than the Celeste then.
Yeah, in theory, I like the silver as a potential response to Geist. Like, you do need to have a pretty good game for that to be realistic, but the disarm could be really nice against Geist to be able to stick on top of her and, be on low HP together, so you're not so worried about the threat of the swap. Melee creeps respond with a Shiv, though, which I think will do really well, right? And silver is pretty tanky, but I don't know that anything can really tank through the full knives build Shiv, getting max knives on you. And silver's not a character I think that's going to be able to evade those knives easily.
Page is a pretty strong pickup. They're getting the shields for Billy and Shiv, and also Geist, like very, very strong utility. A good find, I think, this late into the draft, to be honest.
I'm duty bound to fight.
Floormen go Warden. I think they're just kind of forced into it, honestly. I don't think that feels great for them. Warden has certainly fallen from previous heights. It is a carry that can team fight and that can have some sort of assistance on the front line. I do think the potential with McGinnis is actually kind of nice to be able to get people trapped by the McGinnis wall and then caught by the Warden trap. And they finish with the Calico, so just more of their comfort, staying aggressive, focusing on, I think, their draft fitting rather than countering each other. I think both teams are getting a whole lot of what they want. Question is, what is the final piece for melee creep?
You were looking to summon a god, right? Well,
that's actually pretty nice against McGinnis.
Yeah, yeah, and just the mobility, right? Even if you can't get the death slam because there's unstoppable or something like that, just pretty difficult character to actually chase down with heavy barrage of all the characters. And I also think Warden particularly hates playing against Lash. Getting like pushed into an overchin on Warden can be really problematic. Little bit of a lack of vertical lockdown. I mean, you have the bola from silver, but that's kind of like the only way you catch Lash, which doesn't feel like enough, right? Against a very strong Lash player, even hitting that at all is going to be pretty unlikely.
DDK, Sergeant Oddity over on twitch.tv/Deadlock Night Shift says, wow, Floormen did a shit job drafting so far. That was 5 picks in. How do we feel now that we see all 6 for the 4 people?
So I think what's interesting is that they were able to get Celeste. I think that's a good thing because Celeste obviously is very high value if you have the player that can play it correctly. And they still got Ivy, McGinnis, and Silver, which was really, I think, a large part of the core of what worked so well previously. So I think Jake described it kind of well, where Floormen kind of were able to kind of draft into the style and strategy that they like to play around those core heroes. So I mean, I wouldn't say it's a terrible draft at all. I think they have a lot of ability to pressure, but this is a way more dangerous team and comp from melee creeps. So
okay, and then if I was going to win with this comp for Floormen, do I have a better chance earlier in the game or later in the game?
Ooh, the scaling question is interesting. My gut says that Floormen have a little bit better scaling. They have like more characters that are going to be really powerful in the late game. But I don't think it matters that much. In the end, it's more about like who can get that lead in the mid game that leads to those key objectives, that leads to those key team fights. Both teams have a ton of team fight this game, though. Like we have the Lash ulti and Paige brings a ton to that kind of an engagement. Sinclair, of course, can steal something interesting like Warden or McGinnis ulti and really pump damage. So melee creeps have insane team fight, but so do the Floormen, right? McGinnis and Warden and Celeste, like they have some pretty insane AoE spirit damage to be able to bring down, and a lot of pick off threat from Calico and Silver. So I'm interested. I think melee creeps have something a little bit more conventional, a little bit more textbook. But I don't think people should write off the Floormen's draft. It's not something we've seen so much of before, but last game they showed like this core can really work and can be devastating.
Great breakdown. Game should be ready. All 12 players are locking in, and here we go. DDK, Melee Creeps, returning champions 17 times over. There's now a bonus on the line. Have you been informed about this?
Yeah. It's like a bounty, right? It scales $100 every week. Am I right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's let the CFO break it down.
I'll talk through.
Give us the numbers here.
So basically, the idea is this, right? Every time a team successfully defends their title, their bounty increases by $100 per title defense. If the team upsets you and breaks your streak, they're gonna claim that whole bounty. And if they can take a map, they're going to be able to get at least half the bounty. So even if they don't win, they get a little consolation prize. But if they win, they get the prize pool plus this bounty that has accrued up. if the team can defend their title for enough weeks consecutively, then okay, they'll be able to claim the bounty for themselves. But we only started the system just recently, so Melee Creeps still have a ways to go to claim their own bounty. Floormen, I think, have a lot to play for in this match.
Abrahams were one of the original reasons for this idea. They are no longer a threat to the bounty gate. In fact, they are now trying to earn some cash. But the Melee Creeps, if they can win 6 matches in a row, will be cashing out big on top of the extra money. If you guys are worried about my stare, I've officially turned it off on my side in the video broadcast system. But whenever I look away from the camera, my eyeballs are still locked on to you guys. So download at your own risk. Shout out to NVIDIA Broadcast for the free green screen. Your future broadcast could be sponsored by NVIDIA Broadcast if you guys simply can be patient enough for player 12 to return from the bathroom. DDK, can you guess which one it is?
Is it John John?
Could be John John. Jake?
I'm gonna say League, man. League had no opportunity to take a bathroom break in that last game, man. He was just frying on McGinnis 24/7, chilling, pressing his buttons, pressing ulti, walking around. So I think he deserves a little respite before we get into this next match.
The producer tells me they're not going to tell me because I will tell you guys at home. We're just moments away. Let's get our predictions up and running. It looks like most of our channel points already are making their way over to the Melee Creeps. I'm seeing about 35,000 to 8,000 at the moment. It was Ido. Production, thank you for having a narc inside the building. We love them. Ida will be on your screen a lot, I have a feeling, during this game. It's Melee Creeps, Floormen, Game 1, best of 3. The money matches begin.
Here we go. Here we go. This is going to be good. Jay, do you have any like top of line expectations for this series?
Ooh, I just want to see DMB's game. I feel like DMB had like one or two decent games. Maybe of the 3 had one game that wasn't as strong in last week, but this is, I think, the biggest change for the Floormen in a long time is bringing on DMB. So I feel bad for him that he's on the Warden in this game. It feels like Warden has not had a big game in a couple of weeks, frankly, on EU, NA. I just haven't really seen it. So if DMB can make this work, it would be quite the feather in his cap. See if it's going to be the case, though, up against John John on the extremely comfortable Geist pick.
Yeah, I got to say too, something we didn't talk about yet was something I think that will make DMB's life really hellish, which I think is the Shiv pick. Like the knives on Shiv, I think are going to do a lot of damage to both Goober on the Silver and DMB on the Warden.
Yeah, and Do is all set up with the Page lane as well, so great place to start for the Shiv. Early laning phase, though, I don't expect anything actually too crazy to happen. I think this is going to be very cool, calm, and collected because both of these teams know how much can be won or lost in the laning phase, and so they're both just going to focus the creeps, I think, not look for anything too crazy, too wild.
I love the first item, high velocity rounds there on the page by Saya too, because the Page's projectile actually does a lot of damage in the lane.
Yeah,
it's just you can't connect it, but this helps a lot.
Yeah, you do not want to trade with this hero at close range, and the high velocity certainly assists that, although immediately queuing up the Guardian Ward. Next item. The pressure is mounting on the creeps here. See if Celeste can get a positive trade-off here. Steps up, and Do just falls back for the moment. So I think the level 1, level 2 fights, though, I think are going to be very, very comfortable for AVG and Rocker here on the Calico and the Celeste. Nice attempt, Page. Does he get a steal? Not quite. A little bit of damage and a little bit of an assist on Rocker, taking down some of those lane creeps.
Who do you think are going to be some of the more pivotable heroes or players in this matchup?
I think a lot definitely is on Do's game. Shiv, after the rework, right, has been not as, I would say, like stone cold reliable as the previous Shiv, but with still a huge potential for damage, right? Like those knives go crazy. They kind of force a weird item build that force people to build debuff removers that they might not otherwise want to build, and then might slow down some magic? Of their... yes, your dispel magics. You need to dispel the magic with your dispel magic. I'll learn it eventually. But it's going to be crucial, right, against Shiv. You just cannot afford to get like 5-6 knife stacks up.
No, it's going to be devastating. I mean, even just as the singular tool, if Shift doesn't do anything else, that's I think so devastating. But the thing is that maybe it is kind of pivotal around what League is able to do, and that's actually another great target for the knives because League is so immobile. So yeah, I think you're right. Dispel Magic is a must in this game for the Floormen.
Scout just gets absolutely run at there, shows up in the lane, tries to put some pressure on, and good reads from Goober and DMB. I will say I kind of like this lane pairing. I mean, this is a deceptive amount of lockdown for the Warden Trap, right? That bola shot on top of being maybe kicked in a tough direction, getting flashed by the Warden, I think pretty quickly that could get scary. So it's lucky that it's Sinclair who can kind of TP out of some of those scenarios, because a lot of other heroes wouldn't be so lucky. Getting some decent pressure on the Guardian here as well. So DMB and Goober making it work.
You know what, Jake, as well, if you're adding the Mystic expansion to in addition to the slowing hexes that we saw in the previous game, for like the Mystic expansion on Warden's stun, suddenly, yeah, you got some problems getting out of that.
Here comes attempt, not quite good enough. Ooh, actually way too close for comfort. If Goober's like half an inch closer there, might actually have been a lockdown. Scout still takes a lot of damage for their trouble. But John, despite all the pressure going into Scout, John in the end is not going to mind this. Like, oh no, my Sinclair has to go back to base and I get all the souls for myself. Like, that's so sad. I'm so, oh no.
Dude, I always feel like in matchmaking, if I like somehow have to leave the lane and my teammate actually saves the creeps intentionally for me, I know that's such an intentional choice, and I'm so like always surprised and grateful.
I ain't doing that. I'm taking your souls. Goober getting traded on pretty hard here by John. John blows the full kit. Celeste, or rather Silver, see what she can do. I mean, before the ultimate's online, I don't think you want to do too much too quick. Interesting choice to give the movement buff to Billy there instead of the Lash. I would have thought Lash would be kind of one of the premier movement buff takers, but I guess they really want to make sure Fishcake can get on top and stay on top of some of these enemies.
Yeah, and the fact that we just saw a trend there that we've seen in every single night shift where melee creeps are just getting the initial bridge burst without fail, like both of them. Uncontested, actually. So that seems like a leak, like, you know, when teams are allowing that to go so easily for them.
Yeah, bridge buff's definitely an early item to contest. Swap from Lady Geist doesn't really give much of anything. Both players low HP, so really well played by Floormen. They kill off the Geist, and all that pressure they've been putting into Scout, it actually pays dividends on the much bigger kill in the lane. Still enough damage, I think, on Goober and DMB. They do not want to continue to push this.
Since you pointed it out, like, I really see the vision with the Silver and Warden pairing, and I'm like really loving the potential there. So I'm super curious how that's going to play out towards you know, the mid game once we finally get there. But you know, right now this tower's going to take a lot of damage here on the mid lane as they wait for Goober to get back on to be able to do something with DMB, who's on that Warden. And there you go, just like the burst damage is huge. They're connecting the bowler immediately, and now very fast retreat coming in from Scout, and Lycan form, can it finish it off? Well, he got a Lycan form in return, so he's going to survive.
The stolen Lycan is huge there for Scout. It lets him heal back up just enough to bait the dive. And oh, DMB, okay, a little bit overconfident there, and Lash should be able to get this kill. Oh no, not the disconnect from Ido. That is so tragic. No way. Oh my God, DMB was blessed by Yoshi to win this game. Actually, that is crazy.
Oh my God. That's so crazy, man.
That is
just like this, like the walk forwards. This is
There's like Lash sitting there with nukes against a 200 HP Warden, and now he might just be dead before he can get a single skill off. Honestly, I don't know that even if Ido's back is, it ain't looking good. It ain't looking good for Lash.
Oh, that's like actually so depressing. Oh no.
Because that should have been an overextension from DMB, and John living on a shred of HP, and Ido getting a nice clean rotate in to punish it. Like, it coulda, shoulda, woulda, but an unlucky timing
into the cage. He's getting caged.
Yeah,
so.
like, can he like immediately pop? I don't even think it's possible, right? Because even if he has his jump, he's sort of going the wrong way. I don't think there's anything for him to jump from.
R.I.P.
To go.
Look at the items. Oh, we're getting another look at this. Yeah.
Oh, look at this! Like with all the nukes, with both the nukes, it's just a free kill. DMB is desperate. Going for the parry there is pure desperation.
Yeah.
You think you're dead? Like, crap! I got a parry.
Oh my god. All right, can we see the items maybe too? We can like look at the builds maybe, see what's going on.
The decay rush from Shiv, that's always an interesting one, especially with Saya securing the lane early, making him comfortable to just have only that regen and then go straight to the decay beyond. So it's going to make it a lot harder for especially Celeste to like stay in the lane. She's just going to get spam decayed and potentially harassed out. So Slow and Steady seems to be winning the race for melee creeps in the right side lane.
Also, by the way, Jake, both Goober and DMB also both prioritize slowing bullets. So they both have if they're both like just like wailing on someone, you get the binding word on them, they're not going to be able to get out. Especially with a bowler on them, they're going to get stunned every time, perhaps. If you know, so that's perhaps part of the reason why they've also been such a threat here on this mid lane. How's she doing that though? Is she Mary Poppins?
This is like it's like kind of perfect timing. Wait, if we just like 180 the camera, it'll just look like she's standing on the ground and everyone else is upside down. You know what I mean? Like, what if we're all upside down and Celeste is walking on the ceiling, or rather, Silver is walking on the ceiling? Second time I've called Silver Celeste this game.
Oh, we can't rotate. We can't rotate fully. Not enough freedom degrees of movement. Oh, I got production magic.
See, this is the vision. This is the vision I had. She's like looking up. It's like she's doing the look up meme. Just ignore that overlay on the bottom. That's we don't discuss that.
Why did Ido disconnect?
It sounds like they're saying his internet's out. I will say, by the way, shout out from Prod. It's the Floormen who made that pause. They realized, because just as like I did, right? They saw Ido walking it down on the lane, and they're like, "Oh, he's DC." But respect to pause for your opponent.
True.
Like, I understand the instant react. I would just instant react, blow everything on him and kill him, and then maybe after be like, "Oh crap, maybe he DC'd." But
yeah,
it's a good read.
True, because the players also don't know that we are watching, that we were on that fight, so they don't know that we were seeing that.
That's
so that's sly.
That is very honorable. That is very respectful from the Floormen. Like, I wouldn't even call it sly. Like, honestly, you don't have to pause for your opponent, man. This is competition. We're playing for keeps.
True. But hey, you get found out, man, and then you'd have to like live it down.
Oh, it's tough because surely Ida's coming back, right? But I don't know that it's I don't know if I would like a remake is a little suspect. Like Floormen, it's very close, but I would argue Floormen have had a pretty good early game. I don't like. It would feel pretty bad to remake.
Do we forfeit them, but don't give them the bonus?
Oh my god, man! Don't even. This is
devious.
No, I won't answer any questions. I'm just
CFO. ZP isn't here. Does this make you the official admin?
ZP's, I'm sure, trying to put out some fires behind the scenes, talking with the team, seeing what's up, seeing if we can get Ido back into the mix. Should be able to reconnect, right? Eventually, as long as he doesn't close the game, I think it's just a matter of his internet coming back, which it's a bigger if. It's part of the challenge of these online tournaments, right? That you're at the mercy sometimes of your internet service providers. I've seen it. I've been there myself, right? I've been taking some brutal DCs in competitive matches in my day. Taking a look now at the other lanes. Billy and his gang of jolly troopers.
He got the bridge buff, right? He's probably so as a vitality was no speed. It was the speed
movement.
Movement. Yeah.
He's moving and grooving. Happy to solo the side wave while Ido ganks. A little bit less happy that Ido is disconnected, walking it down into the enemy carry. But you can't always get what you want.
Dude, I saw Yoshi tweeting where he was saying like he had like a poll basically like, what would you rather see, Slork or like one of the options was minus like 0.5 movement speed or something. Who would vote for minus movement speed? He must be trolling. I would like more movement speed in this game. But yeah, I also think that, if the interesting thing about this game, like for example, in Counter-Strike, there's a tool called Match Medic, where you can sort of reload the game state, but it does require like a fresh round though when you do that. So you don't really have that luxury here. You can't really. Maybe there's going to be a tool that allows you to kind of reset, like reverse maybe time or something like that. To all the positions.
I think I've seen some games have built those where you can recreate the game state at a certain time and then play on from there to essentially rewind time a few seconds. Oh, that's actually so smart from Goober to send the tactical tornado into the opponent's house.
Yeah, that's true. That's a pretty smart move. Dude, I moved away from, because I think I was in California, right? I moved away from California because there was a few different reasons, but one of them was the natural disasters. I was in there was that Death Valley earthquake. I don't know if you experienced that, Jake, like in 2021. I think it was like during COVID times, I think. And it was like a 7.1 in Death Valley, and like whole like apartment complex was like shaking. I'm like, you know what? I don't want this noise. I don't want this noise.
Oh, by the way, John's dead, right? I didn't even realize that. AVG's surely, right? Surely John can't play his way out of this one. Which we got to check the AVG. Does he have his buttons up? Does he have leaping slash? This is about to be the most instant kill of all time if he's got a leaping slash.
Oh my god! Anything's gonna kill him.
Wait, does he have bullets loaded?
No, he's got 0 of 13. Oh my god! Reload.
But sometimes that's a bug. Sometimes like the spec ammo count is not accurate. So
he can run it down there, right? I mean, this guy does not have swap.
You would think. We need to check Guy's stam.
Okay, all right. We're gonna do
Let's game this out. Let's game this out. Uh-oh, it ain't looking good. It ain't looking good for you, boy. Here, it is not looking good. I don't see this one turning out well for John.
Yeah, this is very much the definition of dead. Why John out here though? Why is John like having to like? In fact, how did AVG get this deep without taking more damage, and also having like this much stamina left over? These questions need to be asked. I wonder who did the pause though. Was it DMB himself?
Might have been.
Game paused by DMB on my screen.
Oh yeah, game paused by DMB. You're right.
Okay.
Good guy,
True.
DMB. I mean, he was the one that stood to gain from this fortuitous event.
Yeah, we're just too far to take a reset at this point.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair. I also one of the reasons I don't think it's fair too in Deadlock as well is because when the draft's going to play out, nobody knows 100% before a draft how the draft is going to fall. But then once the draft happens, you show your lanes and you show like even how you're itemizing to synergize and just the various things like that. I feel like that's just too much to kind of like. I feel like you'd almost have to do a redraft as well. Maybe the teams would pick the same heroes, but yeah, it doesn't feel like it makes sense.
Could we finish 5v6 first mid boss wins? Would melee creeps have a chance?
If we play it out, we will. I think we'll just have to play it out from here 5v6 until Ido can reconnect. Because we're reaching maximum pause time. We may just need to force them to continue. Unfortunately, we wish there was a better solution here.
Someone needs to win. I wonder if they're going to build out some of the rest of this map, some of the background. Some of the shipping parts of the city there, like some of the shipping containers I saw. It reminds me of the Wire. Is it season 2? I don't know if you guys have seen The Wire.
Yes.
You didn't sound actually super sure. It sounds like you've seen it, but you don't remember
I've seen
anything.
The Wire, but who remembers which season is which, man?
Right?
Well, each season has like a specific setting, I'm pretty sure season 2 is like the docks season. where it's like undercovers, like, you know, it goes into all of the corruption and all of the just all of the drama around the docks in the city. It's all like Baltimore, right? So anyways.
I've been hooked on
All right,
Sopranos.
guys,
This week.
we're gonna have to play on. We've reached the maximum pause time. Still, unfortunately, no word from Ido, and we're just too deep for a remake.
Jake is filling in for Ido, everybody.
Yeah, you literally can't. You can't even sub in other players. We would if we had a way for someone else to reconnect. We would do that, but only the original player connected to the lobby. I don't want to put it on Floormen to like be okay with the remake, because in my view, this is past the point of remaking. I think it's just a little bit. Sadly, it was like a little close, but to have the team with like that's, I think, winning the lanes, get forced to remake is, I don't like it. I think competitively, there's no good options here. But ultimately, it's kind of up to. Ultimately, I think it's kind of up to like every team to ensure their own internet here.
Wait,
Are you back, CP?
So I'm back. Of course, this explodes on. There's an option someone DM'd me in chat that says, get some of this type stats in console and then type connect into the number, basically.
Can that work?
Yeah, I'll show you the IP.
It can work. So hang on, I'm gonna.
Can we get a sub in? Is that if I thought I was under the impression it was completely impossible to get a not the original player into the slot?
No, Ido may be able to get back in.
Well, Ido can, but I think Ido's internet is down and it's not back.
So is it like Ido is full dead? Yeah, I was literally fixing dinner when this all exploded. Apparently.
Yeah. So realistically, I think it's just we've paused for at this point like 15 minutes, and no internet, so he's not gonna be able to rejoin. At least, well, other than we just wait forever. But
so we can see if they can get someone else to sub in. I'll give them the tech here.
The thing is, I don't know. Do we remake this game now? I think it's a little too deep for the remake, honestly, especially since Floormen are slightly winning.
Well, Floormen is offering to remake.
Okay, if they're down for the remake, I'm not going to stop them, but I don't want to put them in that position. That's my view.
Yeah, they're saying they're good with the remake, but Ido's back online, so Ido may just be coming back in.
Okay, maybe we just that would be the dream, the best of all scenarios if Ido is in fact back.
Okay. Yeah, I was a little bit cooking. Just for the record, I was taking cabbage out of the oven. I had extra cabbages from St. Patrick's Day.
What do you do with cabbage in the oven? What is that?
So you baste it with oven oil, and you salt it and put pepper on it, and you oven roast it for around 30 minutes, and you flip 1/8 wedges of the cabbage, and you like
night shift cooking stream went. ZP is cooking, man.
No, it's like actually super good, and that was backed up with this corned beef brisket from Costco that I just like did sous vide for 36 hours.
I just got a day and a half. 18 pounds of chuck roll steak, CP.
Oh, nice.
Hell yeah. Loading up.
You got the back half of a cow.
Also, how fortunate is Melee Creeps here? Where they're, I'm reading the chat and they're just, was Lord NM going to be the sub? The Lord NM that's been up for 22 hours? Just that would either be the greatest play of all time or the most tragic.
Yeah, he's in prime condition. It sounds, I mean, to be honest, right? Sometimes when you get super fatigued, every part of your brain shuts off except what's necessary to focus on the thing you're doing, which is like playing, and you become like an absolute stone cold killer. It happens sometimes. I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but most of the time when you're tired, it sucks.
Dude, but what Lord NM comes in off the 22-hour stream ends up being the greatest player of all time. And like he can only do that if he has to like modify his sleep schedule, so he's always sleep deprived in order to get maximum results.
We could do this.
I mean,
you got to move him to Vegas. All that oxygen they pump in. Is Ido joining this game? Chat wants to know, what is the official ruling, ZP?
Okay, they're getting the connect code for him.
So Ido is actually back, which prevents the worst case scenario. And he's properly back. All right, this shit's about to hit the fan so fast. John's about to hit the deck in 0.1 seconds. From AVG, we'll get the pip.
Yes.
No, he's not. No way. You're kidding me. You're actually.
Wait. No, he's back. He's back.
Wait
again.
Huh. Is this like with Jesus, where people keep saying he's coming back, and I still don't see Jesus, man.
I mean, this is like the third coming of Ido at this point, man. Like, I don't even know what's
olive oil, not oven oil. Like people cut up like it's been a long day.
Oven oil.
Oven oil.
I was gonna let it slide. I was like, maybe I should teach this guy about ghee. Anyway.
Okay, both kills do go to the Floormen. And now we're back into the mix. All right, we got ourselves a game. It's a nice long pause. I'm gonna say a little bit too long for me.
Man, the pause lock, it went beyond what is my limit as well. I think we need no more pausing. Maybe we'll get a karmic response there, Jake. Maybe there's no more pausing for like the next few night shifts. We'll see.
Don't even ask for that. We're getting cursed. It's just not happening. It's just not happening. Big dive onto Goober, but it's a scary hero to really chase down, right? With the threat of that Lycan Curse turnaround, so they're gonna back off. See if this soul lead of just a few thousand ends up meaning much for the key objective fight to come. At 8 minutes, Sinner's about to spawn. See if Floormen can take a little bit more of those, but the creep's very healthy across the board. Won't be easy.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to seeing McGinnis dynamic. Ooh, okay, DMB is gonna. I mean, the death that maybe DMB should have received earlier, he's gonna die now. So it all works out perhaps, and the Healbane comes in for Mr. Ido.
Yeah, Dorian, we'll see what he's able to get done in this game. I think Lash is definitely set up for success here. Kind of a lack of stuns and control to actually ever really kill him in this game.
Yeah, you almost kind of, I feel like, have to get a knockdown potentially just because of the threat of Ido and just the timings around the team fights. Because when they picked up Lash, I was like, okay, we're talking about some good options around the objectives now that could seriously displace and be problematic for Floormen. Because that was something that was lacking in the previous match against Floormen.
Ido getting some nice Guardian pressure down. Trades with his HP for it. Happy to do so. Meanwhile, on the right side, though, the Guardian falls. Do and Saya just too threatening. Wait, actually a big fight in the right lane. Seems like Shiv, is going to get that kill as well. So Do profiting from the rallying charge of Saya. Mid lane, though, continuing to be a brawl. Goober already has popped the Lycan Curse, but can't continue the aggression. It's a low T1, but pretty scary to dive into this against Lash's potential Death Slam.
Yeah, and DMB's got put down 2 times in a row here as well. So, he's got to be careful not to get too far behind the game. And the Bolo there, a bit of extra damage coming in. Always that burst damage threat from Silver. And I've been really enjoying seeing Goober, what Goober can do on Silver. This is going to be a great test to see the limits. And then we get another Guardian that should be worked on here quite nicely. Indeed, Fishcake able to capitalize there. So we're all tied up, 46k to 46k. And what better timing? The urn is coming.
Yeah, 10 minutes. Buff's about to spawn. Seems like DMB is going to get the right side buff uncontested, but left turning into a brawl. A little bit more presence for melee creeps to Floormen. Really want to fight this down numbers. For now, the answer is going to be no. Just going to pass that gun buff over and try and stay alive. McGinnis and Ivy here are going to be so hard. They haven't taken, I believe, like more than a single hit of Guardian damage while being deployed. Entangling Thorns as well. But a nice club from Billy denies the pickoff, turning this one into a proper brawl. Scout now. The stolen Lycan Curse. Everyone is Lycan cursing one another. Xeno flying into McGinnis, taking her deep. Still a few seconds for the ulti to be off cooldown. And I think the Floormen just have more power in this engagement. DMB, though, is going to be dying under the right side walker. Do again. Punishes his counterpart in the side lane.
Yeah, this is really problematic because DMB needs to be ahead of the game here, but being ahead of the game is something that Goober is certainly looking to do. Escaping into the Veil, Fishcake. Able to actually get out for the moment, but the Hunter on top of the roof, Scuba not allowing it to be a free escape, and just one more connection, and it's found. Fishcake goes down, and that's a good situation there. But in the meantime, it needs to be deposited here for Floormen, so they have options, and they got this pressure too on the Walker.
Yeah, instead of going for the urn, they're just gonna hostage it while they clear off this right side walker. Melee Creep's gonna try to make a trade on the opposite side of the map, but it's gonna take a while before this walker comes down. The rotations could come into this one. Saya just doing everything he can to put that damage down, but Paige just doesn't really have enough pressure to siege the Walker. Geist on a sliver of HP. John wants to be tricky and maybe make a play with that health swap. Meanwhile, DMB wasting no time, just continuing snowballing objective into objective. Billy is here to try and slow this one down with the help of the chain gang. Gordon does not want to die again. I think he might need to if they want to get this Walker, though. Big rotation and may have done enough for the defense.
Yeah, really massive damage done, and the urn is going to be able to be picked up again by Floormen if they so choose. And okay, Geist and Shiv able to deal with the Ivy threat. Xeno goes down. And I mean, in terms of the macro, it feels like pretty good value for both teams at the moment. Well, each team's going to be able to claim a Walker, but that mid Guardian took massive damage from the Floormen assault earlier, and I feel like that gets them a little bit ahead if you compare it against each other.
Scout may have gotten out with the urn here. Nice little snatch from him in a moment of Floormen just not being quite there in time. Celeste is running it down, though, trying to maybe snatch it back, but with the help of Ido, yeah, it's just a little bit too deep for Celeste to go. That damage they've just gotten, though, on the mid lane Walker means if you get this dunk, I think you're almost certainly going to lose the mid lane Walker. And yeah, Celeste is going to be more than happy to just clean that one up. Such a hard hero to punish for this sort of play. Goober is also there to make the assist. And even AVG makes the urn drop, so slows down the dunk. And if Floormen want to, or rather, if Melee Creeps want to go for the dunk, I think they're going to have a team fight on their hands.
Yeah, this will be very interesting here because in terms of the ultimates, you know, Floormen definitely, I think, an advantage in terms of what's online at the moment. Both the Guinness ult as well as Warden ult, both online. Floormen can certainly control the space for the drop-off, and they can turn that pressure into objectives. There's a Guardian up and a Walker up on that lane as well. So this is a great opportunity for Floormen.
Goober looking to force this fight early. Rabbit hexed into the Lycan Curse. Doesn't want to just hard deep dive it out. Knows there's a lot of damage threat as well as a very healthy Guardian in this side lane. John going to start putting the pressure down on the opposite side of the map. What's the response going to be from the Floormen? Right now, it seems like Celeste is just going to go match. They're going to stay 5-on-5. AVG is, what the hell is he doing? He's like under the base Guardians here, just making it so complicated to keep holding on to this urn.
Yeah, really
this could be a solo kill. This is looking really grim now, and a massive kill potentially if you're able to finish off the guys. She already used that health swap for the Ivy kill. Hold on, the damage getting a little scary, but John eventually goes down. Great value from Rocker. Also keeps the Guardian alive. Now back here on the right side of the map, the urn dunk could be coming, but Dew is low, and he's even ticking from that bloodletting in potentially significant trouble here. Big death slam. Can't get a player quite off the edge of the roof here, and up on the high ground, Ivy and McGinnis fighting together. Really powerful into this one. DMB also with the last stand. Floormen brawling this one out, somehow staying alive. Ido locked down just enough. Ken Silver find this last hit. Just needs that one more connection. Leap in one. Can he get that final connection with the melee? Seems that for now the answer is no. Billy comes in, blocks the play. Floormen slivers of HP across the board despite being up on 6 players.
What a save from Fishcake there, the body block indeed. Very interesting though, because, you know, in the meantime, you know, Floormen, I feel like they're getting a lot of value here. The urn still not collected. A good parry coming on through for AVG as he tries to make his escape. And it's going to be difficult though. The chase down's in. AVG is very, very weak.
There was enough delay. They did manage the urn reset. I think that urn actually was hostages the entire duration. AVG goes down though, and it's going to make it much harder to continue to contest the urn. So the next urn still going to get picked up by Melee Creeps, but the fact that they weren't able to dunk that over such an extended trade speaks highly to the Floormen's ability to control that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really impressed by how they played that. I especially liked AVG trying to go for a sneaky steal behind enemy lines. And I think these kinds of plays are important because they had to break the deadlock. This is a good example of the nerf with Lash. The ability for how far he can throw people. It doesn't scale with the spirit anymore in terms of the distance and stuff. So some pretty significant Lash changes I think were impactful there.
Celeste getting locked down a little bit, but she's still healthy. Still has that shield with Dazzling Trick. Dew wants to hunt her down, knows what a crucial damage threat this character is. Maybe not going to continue to chase that. But neither are Melee Creeps going to go for the dunk just yet. They blew a lot of skills to try and take down the Celeste, and failing that kill means it's just a little bit too scary to really push for.
Speaking of scary, you know, Dew is actually really farmed up right now. 19k, it's a leader on the server at the moment. And, we talked about the threat that Shiv can have, especially for the front line, for DMB and Goober specifically, with the knives. So if you have these long, protracted fights where you're going to be able to connect a lot of these knives, if there's no Dispel Magic, it's going to be very painful and just chunk you down.
Yeah, if you get, 4 or 5 knife stacks, you're almost solo killed by Shiv. It's really devastating damage when it starts to get stacked up. That being said, to wait your entire knife cooldown for every single knife is pretty expensive. A little bit of a dance for the urn here, but Saya ends up getting it out. Not the worst for wear. AVG just a little too wary of the potential for support to come in there to go for that dive.
Yeah, speaking of the soul economy, Rock is in a good place as well, and the lockdown is really strong actually between all of these different skills, and that's a great pick-off that's found. And you know what? This left side Guardian is still up, Jake. We're almost at 18 minutes, and that has been protected by League at all costs, it seems.
They're going for the push. The McGinnis wall delays, and these players could end up maybe a little bit deeper than they bargained for. Goober on the chase down. Lycan Curse is ending, but he still has the bullet shot if he wants to look for more, but maybe Billy with that rising ram gonna be able to get out far enough. So both teams, man, just what an incredibly even game this one is so far after all the crazy pausing shenanigans. We're down to the point where you're taking side tier 3 camps. This is for me a showing how even the game is, that this is the biggest objective you can really challenge for with advantage.
And we're seeing that Silence Wave come online again. That was a pretty key feature of Floormen's previous game. I think it was it 3, I think, Jake, was the total Silence Waves.
Yeah, could be particularly valuable this game in dealing with Scout and dealing with John, right? Silencing that guy so she can't get her swap off. Even Do, right? If you get silence on Shiv in a tough spot, you rely a lot on Slice and Dice being able to get you out of sticky situation. That being said, he's built a huge amount of tankiness, right? He knows he's the soul leader, and he's trying to defend that lead. It's not an easy game. He's the leader on a losing team, even though it's a slight loss. And he's gone for Spirit Resilience, Metal Skin, and Warp Stone. So he's going to be very hard to bring down and hard to give up that streak.
And it definitely makes sense, Shiv, the more you can kind of sustain in these fights, now kind of translates to the more knives you can get out as well, especially with Rapid Recharge online. But we have another altercation on both sides of the map, actually, on the left lane and the right lane. But to see who comes out on top here is AVG looking to press the issue with the ult hit, looking to try to secure a kill. And that's going to force that melee keeps back. And in fact, it's both Ido and Do that have been in risk on that left side lane. They're forced out. In the meantime, it's going to be control for melee creeps around the urn. So they should get the pickup again, but we'll have to see if they're able to actually deposit it.
Had those item buys for Do absolutely paying off. I think without the Warp Stone there, he's dead. Without the Spirit Resilience, I think he's also dead. So really, really well executed on the Shiv to bait that dive and get out scot-free. Floormen popped a ton of ults for those attempts. They don't really find anything. There might be a window for melee creeps to go for this urn, but it is still an even urn, right? With how even the game is. Does still feel scary. And anytime you're holding the urn, man, against Calico, it's just so fraught, right? Her ability to leap in, snatch the urn away from you, and kind of turn the scenario around is very significant.
Ooh. Potential catch here from onto Ido. Oh, yeah, he's going to get blasted out of nowhere. Man. Rock is having a game.
Yeah, and just the wrong raid from Ido to be here, right? When this is, an area completely dominated by the Floormen right now. They're going to even grab a movement buff. I believe that was movement. Oh, wow. So, okay, DMB gets the gun buff, and he's just going to go for it. They think the last kill is big enough to take this mid-boss into the page ult, into the Rabbit Hex, is a fraught proposition. This one is not going to be easy. Very risky as the mid-boss roars. Seems like they're going to try and pull the fake here and look for kills instead. Saya is up very far, though, maybe thinking that this one was a real commit. Big McGinnis wall as well catches him in a terrible situation, and Saya's going to be down before the fight. Big lash ult comes in. Is it going to be enough? A huge connection, but there's no follow-up. There's no damage. Ido locked down again, this time by Xeno on the Ivy. And the rest of melee creeps are just crumbling. What looked like a beautiful team fight connection, they just weren't ready for. The team didn't expect it to come in so easily. Goober does die, but a 3-for-1, still a very strong trade, and it could get worse now for the melee creeps. Do on no HP whatsoever. AVG looks to be finishing that one off.
Yeah, and there's no contest now for the mid-boss. It was already weakened, softened up. That led to, I think, a disjointed melee creeps. That's typically what you're hoping for. You make the mid-boss scream, you come out quickly enough. Getting catches is very often what happens because the other team's not necessarily expecting you to double back out. So now with the Rejuve crystals, is there any potential steal opportunity? Absolutely not. There's nothing left to do it with. And that's 3 Rejuve crystals and now a 20k lead in favor of Floormen. So in a commanding position, and we talked about the compositions here for them. They got their core, they got the Celeste on board. Rocket has been playing Celeste very well.
I want to compliment Melee Creeps there for a second, because really nice read, recognizing they had 4 players up against triple Rejuve, and they still pushed really hard in mid, looking for kills, recognizing they just had the numbers advantage in that place at that time. So great understanding for them despite the overall macro scenario, but a better play from Xeno. The flight from Ivy gets players out of trouble, and now they're able to reset the map and just really re-push. Fishcake's just desperate to get everything he can out of the jungle, because in the next few seconds, once this Earn Dunk comes in, it's going to be pretty much Floormen's jungle.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, they can kind of roam and just steal everything right now. I mean, that's a great way to utilize this. There is one Walker that they can kind of finish on as maybe the final objective push with the remainder, the last maybe 30 seconds of the Rejuve. But for now, they've got a good chunk of time to try to find picks, to extract value from the map. And right now, there's a potential problem, actually, because Floormen, they've got 2 players isolated here. AVG and DMB stuck behind enemy lines. There's an entire swarm of Melee Creeps players that could potentially collapse if they know they're there.
Yeah, I think it's just too hard, though, right? It's too scary to really commit to a team fight that deep on the map. Ido was looking for it. He was trying to connect into it, but now it's Xeno trying to turn this one around. And a little bit of an awkward movement with the flight. Oh, I think he's got the double stomp build, so a crazy amount of movement. They're lacking a little bit of control, right? But you get that one started lockdown, and I mean, double stomp, like this could kill even some frontliners, right? Have to respect the stun control from Ivy. Unstop up on McGinnis. So the Floormen have navigated the game exceedingly well.
I think, really, some of the moments, too, that we saw with the and macro play calls, that was the standout moment for me, where that's where the game could get dangerous. But they actually came out ahead on the macro plays at around the 15-minute mark to 20-minute mark.
Yeah, great moves around the map. That mid fight was huge, right? Like, how does Ido get a 4-man slam and the rest of the mid keeps are nowhere to be seen? Like, they're on the other targets, maybe going a different direction for the mid boss contest, but it's all in the past now. Ido does at least bait out the Shining Wonder, but it still gets an extra bounce on the creep, and AVG will be happy to run that one down. So Ido really struggling now on the last of this game. Xeno continuing to look for more as McGinnis sieges across the map. Uber does lose 1 Rejuve. Still a fight to be had, but it seems like it was worthwhile so far. Stolen Warden ulti, but it's no match for the Heavy Barrage.
Yeah, what are you going to do against this?
Oh my God, guys almost got solo killed by the Heavy Barrage. What is this? He's just absolutely max ranging, and I think John has to just run for the hills. This Walker is done.
Man, it's crazy the tempo you have. You drop the Medicinal Spectre right off the bat, and just, it's painful, and they're going to pursue beyond the Walker here. The wall goes deep, but won't be able to get any catch. It doesn't matter. They've got the entire map. Just look how much blue there is on the mini-map right now. It's like they have everything.
Yeah, all lanes crashing. I mean, with the Rejuve timer ending, you're not going to really go for anything crazy and just sort of clean the jungle on your way out, but that's a happy scenario here for the Floormen, right? Like, this is an ideal first Rejuve. You clean up the map, get all the walkers down, you get a nice, comfortable economy lead. And now it's up to Melee Creeps to find an opportunity, to find a pickoff with the numbers advantage. We take a look at some of the items here. Couple Dispel Magics on Rocker and Goober. So your 2, I would say, most likely characters to really get up in the front line and tango with Shiv. Siphon Bullets onto the Warden is an interesting choice. Big Lash Ult, though, finds 2 players, but they're 2 of the tankiest targets, 2 of the hardest kills to find. So I'm not so sure about how the fight is going to go, and ABG just turns it around onto Ido after the slam. Kills him off. Billy Ult, though, could be finding a more connection here. DMB super low, does drop, so the carry is down for the Floormen, a 5-on-5. This could be a decent fight for the Melee Creeps, but here comes the Heavy Barrage. You've got to watch out for this. Unstop is ending. Perfectly timed knockdown as well to secure that one. Lightning Scroll started to proc. The parries have to be good here. Fishcake does drop, and it seems like the Floormen have just bitten off just enough, exactly as much as they can chew. Melee Creeps forcing that fight into a pretty significant soul disadvantage, and Floormen are super happy to take that. 6-on-6 with this kind of soul lead.
Yeah, this is really interesting because, I'm already thinking about what the draft can look like as a reflection of this game if it is the case the Floormen win, because they have now such a sizable advantage. of course, they've lost the lane on the right side a little bit, but they can easily remedy that. The entire team is down for melee creeps right now, so the advantages are going to be stacking up in souls. We're already at a 45k advantage in favor of Floormen. It's only going to get deeper as time goes on here. So this game has become, I think it's what's fair to say, is somewhat unrecoverable here for melee creeps. They just don't have the power, the fighting power anymore to be able to contest. And I feel like we've seen like a lot of, I don't know if it's a coordination, Jake, around some of the Lash play, but it feels like Lash is very underwhelming in this particular game.
Ido has struggled this game, honestly, and I feel like, I wonder if it's like a little bit of tilt from the disconnecting situation and kind of that losing that what should have been a free kill and instead dying because of the DC. But he's been forcing some awkward fights. The team fight, the coordination has not been there. And honestly, the team has been really punished for a couple of those attempts. So Ido, I mean, it's at this point, I don't know that there's much he can really do to bring back game one, but definitely needs to lock in because we're used to Ido being one of the carries, like consistently dominating games for the melee creeps. And to see him not having the best game is certainly a worrisome sign, because I think you're right. I think this one is going to be a Floormen victory. I mean, it's so difficult to come back from this scenario. 50k soul deficit. You've lost a shrine, so the side waves are going to be constantly pushing in on you.
Headed to green.
And the McGinnis has not even necessarily been a large part of the problem. I think AVG's been playing really well in his role in Calico. Got to give AVG the flowers, but also, Rocker. I think, Rocker's play on the Celeste has also been extremely disruptive, and at this point is just truly overwhelming, and just a very close escape there by Scout. But yeah, so there's a lot of implications here in terms of the draft, because I don't even look at McGinnis and think, okay, well, that's the problem. I almost would say that the Celeste has been more of a problem in some of these fights.
Oh, Dan, I think they're going to send it on mid here. It's mid insta-spawn. They're going to go for it immediately and at least force the roar. Question is, are they going to full commit to this?
I see the enemy.
Can I get to trap him again or try?
Oh, Saya. Ido as well, caught with the slowing hex. Can he get out of this one? Needs to live just a little bit longer. Still holding on to the Dispel magic, though, so he should be okay. Dispels.
It's another silence.
The silences gets continued to chase down. No way. Floormen force their will now on the match, and melee creeps just can't get away. Billy's in here, hit the mid boss. I don't know about that, buddy. Floormen are coming back into this one, and melee creeps just on slivers of HP trying to get out and live, but a very disconnected response, and it's just clinical from the Floormen. This game should be done and dusted. This is essentially a free mid boss. You do have Saya with the rallying charge, so maybe that's going to be enough to disrupt and maybe like snatch a rejuve away, but he's just not in position for it. I don't see it.
Let's pour one out for the melee creeps.
Clean. Oh, go ahead, buddy.
I was just gonna say, I think this is like so uncharacteristic of melee creeps, right? To feel so out of sorts in this game. John goes for a very deep side push here, but might be able to play his way out of this, and I think he will. So actually some nice value from him. Able to really shove this side win and create significant macro problems, but got a few minutes to resolve those for Floormen, and they're not going to be in a huge hurry with the full rejuve timer still to go out.
Yeah, again, they can just rinse and repeat, clean up the map, get the max value. I think all teams at this level should have, everybody in the team should understand what is the strategy when we're in this position. We got the rejuve crystals, we have this much time, what jobs are we going to prioritize, and I mean, teams are getting so good at all of this right now, making it efficient, and Floormen have really shown, I think, just a much better level over the last few weeks. I feel like Floormen are just, we're just really seeing that improvement. And I do like the addition of DMB. And I've got to actually, call a question back to the statement you made earlier in the broadcast, Jake. You mentioned the Warden pick for DMB. Based on the theory at that time versus how you've seen it play out. Do you have any comments on that?
I mean, he's doing well this game. Like, he's in the right place at the right time, but he has like support net worth. So I'm not really convinced that Warden is good. I think he's still playing well. Like, he's making the best of it, but I'd still rather see him on something else. It just feels like the carry role's in a weird spot right now in terms of people's priority. I don't mind that they went for the Warden, because you do need some sort of a team fight. Hold on, speaking of team fights, the maxed out shield. This is kind of a problem now. Celeste, big parry, and she's happy to maybe trade away her life with this rejuve. So much value being had in the Shining Wonder, just cooking them all and fighting out of base. Again, the game's just over, man. Like, you cannot take these kind of a trade against a triple rejuve. I feel like melee creeps are ending this not with a bang, but with a whimper. Floormen are just running rampant.
Yeah, they're absolutely smashing it right now. 70k soul advantage. And yeah, we're basically at the end point here for map 1, and the implications are really huge on how the preceding map's going to go, the draft in particular. I think that's going to be the most interesting thing for me to see here, Jake, because we clearly see it from Floormen, a strategy with that core that works, that I don't know that melee creeps are necessarily on the same page in terms of their interpretation of the value. So McGinnis, Ivy opener, into a Celeste pick, they can't let that happen again.
Yeah, it feels like this is a drafting issue. I also feel like melee creeps like the vibes feel terrible, man. Like even in this scenario, right? They like go for some weird fight out on the map against, like, they don't even get a base defense off, although they're gonna go for it now. Lashalty, I believe, only finds the Celeste, and I mean, Ido is just, this is stat check territory, right? Nearly 100,000 soul advantage, and melee creeps just have no business left in game 1.
No, it is done, it's dusted. We had some, pause lock action, but hey, Floormen, from start to finish, a classy act. I think they did everything really well, and I'm just so looking forward to seeing how this series is going to develop, because we have a real grand finals on our hand here between these two teams.
Always tilting to have internet issues, always something that you're gonna have to deal with in an online competition, right? That's a huge part of the challenge, is to be able to stay cool, calm, and collected when things don't go your way and when stuff out of your control is going wrong.
I think it's more than internet issues. They got to deal with my man Goober tonight. Floormen up 1-0 over the melee creeps. We're about to take a look at some of the best moments. This is a bit of a shocker if you guys have been watching. This is now the 7th meeting between these teams. This is just the 3rd map win for the Floormen. So starting off with a bang, they are 1 away from the money. This is where it got chaotic, a little bit of a disconnect. 20 minutes later, Ido's back in the game, and his buddies are still getting beat down. Sinclair, not the counter to McGinnis we thought during the draft. You saw Goober constantly on fire on Silver. You mentioned the Celeste may have been the biggest impact, though, in this game. Why didn't we see Celeste 3 weeks ago, and what do you like about her now tonight, DDK?
Well, I think she gets banned a lot. I think people are not allowing Celeste to be running these kind of shenanigans on people. So I think that's like a large part of it. Obviously, I think it also depends on the comp a little bit. What are you looking for? You get a lot of dive spirit damage with Celeste, and once she gets going, the team fights are very disruptive as well. So Rocket played it phenomenally well.
Bully and Shiv there. Dude didn't stand a chance. Here, Jake saying, oh, she's going to get in trouble. I saw her health bar drop for a little bit, and then she goes all the way back up, Jake.
Yeah, Infuser, look at that. He's healing 1,500, 1,600 from Infuser. Crazy value off of the item in that fight. But he's playing with the house cards anyway, house cash anyway. He's got reach, right? He doesn't care, trading his life here. And meanwhile, his team is sieging the base and ending. So clinical from Floormen, like no criticism from me on their gameplay. But for the melee creeps, like, where was the last stand, right? Where was, like, I mean, I know it was a bad game, and it probably wasn't theirs to win anyway, as the mid game kind of pulled against them, but it just feels like they didn't go for those fights. And I haven't seen melee creeps to be a team that gives up in that way. And I'm not saying that they gave up, but it just felt like they stopped believing in their own ability to win, which totally out of character for my experience with this team in the past. And I'm a little worried for them for the rest of the series. I think this is beyond just how the game went. I feel like they weren't playing their best today.
I think DMB gave them the honor pause. They responded with the honor forfeit, even though they can't technically forfeit. They got us to a speed ending. That is the fastest game on the night, and we still broke the 32-minute mark. We haven't broken 40. We've got 2 games around 39 minutes, and we expect the next one to be even closer than what we just witnessed. DDK, Floormen take half of the bounty pot with this win. They could secure the whole thing with one more match.
Yeah, and I think right now it's all about what melee crews have to do to try to find the answers. Like, what do they ban? How do they see what the problems were in that game? And I think you can point to multiple things. The Celeste, you can point to the Silver. Like, Goober did have a great game on the Silver. The burst damage, the chase down was very key. AVG had an insane game on the dive with the Calico. Like, back to front, there were problems in that draft. So what do melee crews think is the biggest one?
have to find out. $50 already guaranteed in the bank for the Floormen. Melee Creeps, I have a feeling they have an answer. McGinnis is getting banned on the other side of the break. Ladies and gentlemen, lock in. This is night shift number 30. We got at least 2 more games, right? I've been told I work on the best games at the right time before they get too big. That's from the great ZP. Thank you for the gas, ZP. And that is, of course, gas to all of the fans that have already caught on to the bug. The night shift is flowing here. Episode 30. NA, 1 game in the books. It's not the answer we thought it was going to be. Is this the night the Melee Creeps get dethroned? It's been 17 wins in a row, DDK. They've only ever dropped 2 maps to the Floormen in their whole history against the Floormen leading up to tonight.
So, Pocket, I've got some really good news for you. Okay. Now, Melee Creeps are in a position where they may have to concede Viscous.
Oh,
because they banned Viscous.
I think you're right, but
Yeah. So I think we're in like really interesting territory right now because there's too many things to ban, and Viscous is probably not on the front of their minds right now.
Some wildness. McGinnis over Viscous
is not really a meta character. You're just full respect baiting Goober's pick, and then when he just has some very big games back to back on silver, it's like, how much is that really getting you, right? Like, yeah, you didn't have to deal with the Viscous, but you had to play against a silver, and he had a huge game on that too. So if anything, it felt like scarier than a Viscous would have been in this particular game, where those bolas were really, really impactful on Scout and on Ido to make them actually struggle. I was wondering if that would be enough, but it was. He caught a ton of picks from that initial bola catch, followed up by a bunch of silence waves and slowing X's.
DDK, I went back and I saw 203 days ago was night shift number 2. That was my first time working on this show. And McGinnis was a meme back then. There were a few other characters that were crushing. Zergy was a standout player, rocking the 7. I feel like I haven't seen a 7 in months. Is there anyone that you could potentially pull out a pocket hero to surprise folks in this draft, or are you just pulling from the S tier characters that don't get banned?
The only thing I can think of that'd be really weird to see, but maybe there's like a weird world. Maybe it's Viper, but I don't even think that. I feel like I'm getting too weird. I don't know.
There's enjoyers in here of the Viper.
What do you think, Jake? Where you at?
I want to see people expand the carry pool. I think Infernus. Hey, I think even 7 might not be as bad as people think.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, like I don't think people are gonna. I think people probably just play like the regular, do a million DPS of burn Infernus. But hey, I do think that feels like the place in the meta right now that is the least well discovered, because if you're like, is Warden really the best we can do? Like, there's nothing better. Like, I mean, they won, but the Warden's pretty lackluster.
Dynamo, come on back. I miss you. Melee Creeps versus Floormen. It's time to get serious if you're an MLC fan. They've worn the crown for 17 weeks. Let's see if they can do it again. They'll need back-to-back wins, and Floormen get to ban first. So Melee Creeps, who do you take after we lock in on both sides? The Kelvin isn't going to be in there. Why is Kelvin being prioritized by the Floormen here?
I mean, this is a legit respect ban, I think, against Saya. Like, it's something he's so good at it. He's so sick with the Kelvin. Not only does it give you a really strong laning phase, but the team fights in the late game get very complicated, and the Kelvin team has a lot of control over how things go. So getting rid of the Kelvin means, hey, you can't be able to dictate the pace of the fights that decisively. And I think that's actually really smart, because Floormen like to play this very active, this very, swarmy style, and Kelvin can really put that on ice.
Dan, we have a really important question from the chat. Should I put it all on Floormen right now? All of their channel points, 30
channel
weeks
point
of
financial advice.
Do it.
I think you should go all in. It's happening. Sorry.
I think this draft is like also particularly interesting because I'm kind of predicting that Mina. Okay, interesting. So they're gonna pick it.
They creates. This is a good move, though. I think this is a great way to approach it. Like, you didn't want to give up the Celeste. I wonder, do you take McGinnis as well? Because if you don't, you're gonna give.
You can go back to back here. Grab her.
I could see the game Mina or something.
Yes!
Oh, they're gonna do it. What?
They're saying we are better than you with your heroes.
That is spicy. I kind of like this. I also wonder though, like the double sort of like snatch pick is a little worrisome for me because it means you really like go off course from your own game plan. You're like doing a ton to mess with the enemy.
There's their Billy taken.
And in the end, yeah, Floormen are like, oh no, we have to pick Billy. Like, it's not going to feel that bad for them. Question is, how do they deal with the McGinnis on the other side, especially with Viscus there to front
Sinclair.
line?
Lock in your Sinclair right here.
I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, it's
Sinclair's
interesting.
nice against-
Success. It's silver. Okay.
Well, in fairness, I
sure
see this because
Goober's
you've already
got something.
snatched, exactly, you've snatched the Viscus away from Goober. He's been dominating all day on the Silver. Just run it again. And you've got Billy for the chain catch, can really help Silver get those finish kills. Ivy, maybe she's going for that double stomp build again, can also really assist.
I'm the sword of Saint Benedict.
But a John Venator, that's a powerful response.
That's true. I'm wondering like where Ido goes right now, and an Ido Mina
Not Lash.
pick or an Ido Pocket pick, I think could both be something that could make sense. So
Yeah.
I'm curious whether what will happen with Mina. Okay, so she actually gets banned, she gets taken away. So you know, what do we think Ido's actually playing here? Because he had a pretty horrible situation on Lash last game. He needs to
Is
be
he
on
a
something
strong
that he can like
Calico?
run with. So maybe Pocket at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I do think he is good on the Calico. I don't think it feels great to pick the Calico at this point in the game for melee creeps because Floormen have some very like tanky and hard to burst characters. I think Calico wants to have those assassination targets. And if you draft her now, then Floormen can kind of stay away from that. But maybe you just feel like it's going to be the right hero for the job. And they do. They just say they're going to send it to you. You're going to have to pick squishy heroes at some point. But curious to see where Floormen go from here. Is this just another Warden game, Dan?
Maybe. Yeah, I'm really wondering where else does DMV go with this? Yamato, I like that.
Another hero, very hard to burst. Like I feel like Floormen are going to pick all heroes that are very hard to burst, which actually I think is a great way to deal with both the Viscus and the Calico. These are characters that want to like disable and assassinate, you know, certain enemy characters. And Floormen have quad frontliner right now, by the way. They have 4 frontliners and an Ivy. This is kind of
helps move them around.
Right? You got to get a Pocket into this.
Right? It would be so perfect. Like, yeah, it's actually kind of crazy. But if I guess you have to let somebody else play the Calico. Mo Krill, okay. They don't really have many stuns, just the Ivy stun. But I don't know if I love Mo Krill against 4 frontliners. I feel like
Who's the tank buster pick here?
I think Pocket is Pocket. It's just so insane for Affliction to hit on these grouped up players. Mo lets you punish people who are isolated, and Pocket helps you, punish the big group stack. What is Floormen's last pick going to be? I think they maybe go initiator. I'm expecting this is a GT. I actually kind of like that. But
Jake is about to lose it. He's mind blown.
This is a DMV Billy. I thought they were gonna have like DMV on like the off carry Billy, and I could see the vision, but. This is a wild and wacky draft from the Floormen. I mean, if they get burger boxing, that should be good for them. But Melee Creeps have some very scary tools for the pickoffs. Mo and Calico going to be looking for any stragglers, anyone getting greedy and farming. Warden could be in a world of hurt there. And Pocket with the Affliction should just be devastating this game. I mean, they don't really have a response to that other than just be better and don't get afflicted. But that's not super realistic most of the time.
Mo and Krill and Viscus, what are their jobs? Because I've seen Venator. I know what I need to do if I'm a McGinnis fan.
I mean, Mo
But
is
with
just
Viscus and
combo
Mo on the
people.
same squad.
I feel like Viscus, at least it's Viscus has very different builds you can go for, right? Like there's like a pretty powerful Viscus build where you just go all in on the melee and you become a pretty serious damage dealer, which I actually wouldn't hate this game. Goober in the last shift popularized this Viscus build where you go for the max ball and go for that like perma stun, bounce on people and just like keep them locked down. Feels like that might be the more competitive build. But this game, I wouldn't think it's crazy for him to go a little bit more high damage.
It's the money match. Floormen are on match point. Melee Creeps trying to force a game 3 on the mic. It's DDK.
I will say, Jake, that I kind of like the Shiv against the Pocket because Pocket's not super tanky. He's got this. He kind of gets wrecked by spirit damage. If you get some knives in him, he can go into the. He has to dispel it. Like he can't otherwise escape the damage. And so I think that can be some way to deal with the pocket, because I do feel like pocket is a very big problem in this game.
Yeah, that is true. That, like, you know, in the past, I think people looked at this as like pocket as the counter to Shiv, but now that Shiv is a little bit more focused on like doing that heavy damage over time rather than, you know, the pure tankiness of some of the older Shiv builds, maybe this pocket matchup is more playable. I mean, just in terms of, you know, your strategy, the way you can approach the game. Laning phase, looking comfortable for both teams. I think both teams like think this is a wild draft too. I think they both recognize they're in kind of unexplored territory, which I'm sure is actually a rarity for these teams considering their experience, their practice in the game.
It is a really interesting approach, because, you know, teams will often try to stay within the frameworks of how they want to play the game, but like, okay, you know, we're going to maybe ban a bit more towards what's been working for you guys, and maybe we'll steal something, but they stole some like incredibly core picks that have complete, like, they've gone all in on like, we don't care about our game plan, we're just going to try to make this as disruptive as possible, and then just like go from there, and hopefully we are better at adapting than you guys.
Yeah, I do think that they've thrown chaos into the game, which I think is a sign of desperation, which is not where you would expect the, you know, whatever it is, the 20-time, 30-time champion to be doing some weird stuff, right? You would think they'd be able to stick to their bread and butter. I think they just felt last game was like a sign. You know, this is a Floormen came to play. They came to win today. They've got to get one more game win to secure that. Nice early trade here for Ido on the Calico, finding Goober in a really rough spot, fully surrounded now by melee creeps players. Got to wait one little movement tool to get away, and gonna live just a little bit longer with this slide down the stairs, but eventually it's a matter of time for him getting run down.
It is interesting, because what if melee creeps crush Floormen? Would it be that they did this in desperation, or that they're just able to just like they were actually just really confident in their ability to still just make it work?
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong, right, about like sort of the reasons why they go for these picks. Maybe they feel more comfortable, and this is more of just, hey, maybe both teams like to play the Viscous and could consider playing the McGinnis, but I just had the feeling last game, man, it looked like they were the underdogs, right? It felt like Floormen were the team, full control, playing their own game. And that's why I see the vision. Like, theoretically, I understand why it's good to snatch these picks away, but can you know, and in the past, in fairness, melee creeps have been insane at adapting and you know, getting the wins in these unexpected, unique situations. Like 4 premium frontliners, though, Dan, is a lot of frontliners. And the knife just keeps coming, man. Rocker has been so sick on this lane on the Shiv. Like, Do is getting hit by everything. And I don't even blame him. He's dodging well, but Rocker's just a machine.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're going to do the pocket barrage and stuff like that, you can be kind of an easy target to hit at times. So, and like we said, you know, pocket takes an extra bonus bit of damage from Spirit. So the Shiv knives are actually hellish, and pocket needs to keep his health up as well. Like, typically pocket players will get a healing right so that they can kind of just keep the pressure on in the lane. But the trade against the knives is actually horrible.
A lot of low players across the map. Pocket would love to be able to get in and maybe finish off that Billy. Rocker making just a little bit of space for it. This McGinnis sustain really helping on the lane, though, keeping people into this one. And that heal is going to, you know, further that goal. AVG, I think, just has to hit a base reset here. Mid lane also could be some kills on the cards. Floormen, no reserves of HP anywhere on the team.
I see silver.
Yeah, John getting Venator, definitely one of the biggest problems. We haven't even talked about it yet, but a quick combo kill to lock D&B down. And that's something that Mo obviously is amazing at. Just a dive pick, very, very disruptive. And the bridge buffs collected. I'm not sure who got which bridge buff. I would have to just assume melee creeps because they're like so consistent at it.
Yeah, and I think there was a moment where Floormen just low HP on everyone across the map. Like, I just don't think they had the resources to really contest so much. Interesting build for Saya to go rushing in for Cult Sack. So he wants to scale a little bit more into this game. McGinnis is a pretty powerful gun character, especially in the very early game. Kind of hard to trade with on the lane. Pocket clearing a ton of these creeps as well. And McGinnis just wants to, I think, play a little bit deeper for the late game.
Yeah,
So
definitely. It's interesting to see those early items. It doesn't look like the build that we saw from League. That's for sure.
I mean, I expect those will be the last gun items he buys in the game. You know, like he'll just rush the 4.8k to farm a little bit more efficiently and get the cult sack up, and from there transition into the ulti build. But I'm always ready to be proven wrong. And Saya has shown himself really to be a player who is willing to break those molds and to do something that others won't.
Speaking of like the gun damage, one thing that's interesting is that Floormen have a lot of gun damage. You know, Warden, Silver, Billy, also the Ivy gun as well. You know, there's a lot of gun damage on this team. I don't know if it's like imbalanced to a point that it's an issue at all, but obviously like the ideal thing is if you have like a mixture of spirit and gun, so it's harder to itemize against, of course.
I mean, I think the spirit damage is pretty respectable, right? Yamato and Shiv together can deal a pretty impressive amount of that, and likely Ivy will, at least in the meta, has been for the support Ivies to go more for the spirit focus.
True.
Looks like forced to just goo ball purely defensively here, just running to safety, which never feels great on the Viscous. Goober is still thinking he can maybe get a piece out of him, but it's a tough chase down to go that deep under tower.
Selection coming on through. Every tanky hero's nightmare. And,
heavy barrage too over the objectives.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? You're gonna get kind of locked down by this. Gotta respect it.
It's 2 ults used, and Shiv is still very, very healthy, especially if he gets full value out of this heal, right? He's gonna be able to buy Decay here, which gives him also the Spirit Spike. So Rocker playing this one really nicely. Could be thinking about a dive here. This Beginner's has some gun damage, but she does not have any kind of spirit resist whatsoever. Pocket also just happy to nuke the creeps and get out. A lot of respect having to be shown there to Rocker.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Rocker's going to be, again, maybe one of the most pivotal players. Just because of his role. I think the answer that the knives can have against both the McGinnis and also the Pocket, which I think are very problematic because of the both ults, ultimately. And the dive comes in as well as the killing blow and execution style. McGinnis is dealt with.
Yeah, he just gets evaporated. Here comes Idorian on the rotate with the Calico. Scout also coming into this one. They really want to pressure down this tower, but Ivy's still here on high HP. Could make that a little bit more difficult. Ido now just going to settle for stealing the enemy doubles, which is quite a nice prize, though. I mean, arguably even more valuable potentially than the tier 1.
Yeah, definitely really nice to pick these ones up. Always feels a bit scary to like go for both. Like it just lose a lot of HP, and so some accidents have been known to happen.
Scout's in trouble. Doesn't quite have the roll yet. Punches his way up into the air, but gets caught on some geometry. He's in big trouble, bleeding out there, and yeah, Rocker is going to finish. Combo turns it around now onto the Ivy, in real trouble. Can she get out of this one? Just has a sliver of HP left, getting healed up though. The heal nova is massive into this one. The Air Domini pumping damage for John, and it's enough for Fishcake to take down Goober. So May the Creeps bringing numbers to this fight. Turns it victorious for them, and Do with the Affliction eventually takes out Rocker. So that's the challenging matchup coming into play there for the Shiv.
Yeah, and he's going to go toe-to-toe with John. That's one thing that I'm keeping an eye on. As we get another engagement coming on through, DMB just rips the ultimate. Last stand, see what value he can find, but they're so annoying when they get cubed. You can't get any damage on them, and now you got Viscous pumping damage into the... Oh my goodness! He parried that.
He went for the risky heavy melee into the ulti for the full kill. And the parry, I think, is going to get DMB out of this one. Calico's, though, here wants to finish off that kill, and Ido has enough burst to do the job.
How do you feel like this game's shaping up so far, Jake? Because obviously it's kind of a bit of a wild ride in terms of the draft.
I feel like both teams are just hanging on to this one by the skin of their teeth. Like, this one is it's been chaotic, and I feel like it's only gonna get more crazy. That's my vibes here. This one's gonna be a brawl.
Well, the uncontrol is with Floormen at the moment. Goober's got that one on the silver, and they're trying to run it across. But I gotta say, Floormen did a great job macroing around these urns in the last map. They're gonna get a catch there with the wall. Escape happens, but they're really here for this Guardian anyway, so they're gonna pick up this pressure, this damage. But what about
three knives? Oh, I think McGinnis is in real trouble here. 4 knives ticking pretty hard here. One more knife would be scary to lose the reset. Shiv, though, under pressure, went too deep for that one. Has to use the ulti just to escape. Still in a lot of trouble. The Urn Dunk comes in. Looks like the Soul's kind of traded this way and that. Lycan Curse, enough to potentially turn this one around, but the 1v2, surely. The Affliction, just too much, even for Silver. Pocket in the case lasts long enough to assist that kill. Well played, but man, Goober had a lot of fight left in him, rather, in the 1v2.
Yeah, good tip for those of you up against the Lycan form. You know, you can just like they were, just get the wall jumps in there to just get into the air, like make it harder to connect those melee hits, and then, you know, you're buying time, getting your cooldowns online. But yeah, interesting turn of events. It's still pretty close here between these two teams. We only have one Guardian left on the map. It's the left side Guardian for Floormen. And I mean, both teams still look to be in pretty good stead here. No one is too far ahead. You know, 12k there for the Venator of John. Good catch onto once again the Viscous. The lockdown comes on, but it's just a desperate attempt to stay alive. Can Fishcake actually get the kill though? Onto AVG that's on that Billy. Billy gets a bit of a heal, so he's going to be in good stead. And Fishcake will die for his efforts.
And that equalizes the game, souls-wise. League has been relatively quiet this game, relatively untouched. Finally, the tower pressure comes in. He's forced into a shadow transformation. Ido senses, hey, maybe there's a chance to actually go a little bit deeper on this one. John's here, could pop the Aerodomini and look for more. League on absolutely no HP right now on the Yamato, but just proves to be a little bit too scared for melee creeps to stick around with Floormen off map.
Yeah, this game's really interesting. There's so many new dynamics to kind of look at between, you know, who's playing what, but
my prediction is this goes late, man. Like, I feel like this one could really drag out, especially with the McGinnis going for more of a scaling build. She's going to be weaker for now in the early game, but it could pay off later. Warpstone from Pocket, caught by the Silence Wave, should be expiring soon, and I think he might be okay, and pops the Affliction before teleporting up to the high ground. Being chased still by the Ivy, trying to just schmoove his way out of this one. Proves to be just a little bit too far, though, even for Xeno to chase. And
I did get rid of the Affliction, though, and I mean, it was from full HP, so it doesn't end up being impactful. It's, I think, kind of a nice trade, ultimately, for Floormen to be able to get that one out. A minute and a half to that 15-minute earn in the bridge burst. That's when the games like this that are like neck and neck, they could potentially break apart, because the teams may start to make really big macro trades, but they either fight for the earn or they actually go straight for walkers in a trade whilst giving away an earn or something to that nature.
Nice little harassment here by Goober onto Do, right? That Pocket, he relies on this HP pool to play his way out of some scenarios, right? And if you're on half HP, the next time you get caught, you won't be so lucky to slip away. So it's always nice to take those little winning trades around the map. Silence Wave really does play into that kind of a style. But trades you don't want to take around the map are up against Mo and his combo, right? Like, that's going to be pretty scary still for the Floormen. But we've seen the combo, it's not guaranteed, right? Sometimes you find yourself in a tough spot. Beautiful parry catch onto Scout, and he is in a world of hurt. Even the goo ball, I don't think is going to be enough here. And yeah, DMB has the burst.
The Silence Wave is like mega value, especially against Viscous. And a forward catch from AVG, finding Saya alone on the McGinnis. That's not where you want to be caught, and this is problematic. Going for the full dive, potentially no, just barely escapes from a lick of HP.
The knife ticks him.
Oh, got finished off by the knife. That is beautiful there for Floormen.
Yeah, so nice, man. DMB does get bursted down in the side lane. Finally, the roam comes in. Fishcake finds his kill with the combo and the help of Idorian's Calico, but everyone has been so focused on farming this game. I mean, both teams have a lot of late game scaling. I mean, the ultra heavy frontliner draft, all these heroes kind of need some items. They need both damage and some aggression. Wisely cancels that charge. Would have been Walker Stomp, but John in huge trouble and can't dodge the power slash. So League, good connection to kill off the enemy carry in a bit of a dangerous scenario, but it feels like Floormen are kind of dominating across the map right now.
Yeah, Affliction though, that's never going to be a good sign here for the carries. or rather for the frontliners. But the urn in the meantime is being ferried across the map there by Xeno on the Ivy. Whilst there is some action here from Melee Crews, they want to try to capitalize on these kills. They're going for the chase down off of those afflictions. They know these guys are very weak here. Ooh, trying to dodge the stomp there and continuing the pursuit. Is Dude going to be able to find it? He's getting quite low himself, and his cooldowns all being used. There's the cloak, though, to try to get out of dodge in this fight, and DMB is looking for this one. Still, though, 500 HP, still up. There's the cask looking to finish off the pocket into the teleport again, and finally, Dude, surely he's dead, and another cask will do it.
Man, Rocker and Dude playing the movement tricks there. DMB hitting his mark now on the Warden. Interesting build for him. The Max Flask, though, kind of draining away the stamina of some of these characters in the fight, really reducing their mobility, allowing the rest of this frontline swarm to get in. And obviously the Urn turn in, though, probably the biggest objective in that fight. All the trades across the map, pretty even, but getting the Urn dunk massively sways thing. And that's a zip knock onto Ido. The beautiful McGinnis wall keeps him alive, but way too close for comfort. Zip knocked in the mid. That's gonna shake you. That's gonna rattle your nerves.
And there's a very forward movement here as well from Floormen. They kind of deep in enemy territory by this Walker, trying to catch Scout on this Viscous, but he's going to be able to back away from that one. But look at how much map control there is right now for Floormen. They, on that last 15-minute urn, they picked up some fights before the urn spawns. All the right fights too. They managed to get some kills, and they got full control of the map right now. There's the catch though from Fishcake, the combo. This is maybe the moment for Melee Crews to get a pick themselves as they try to make things happen. And you've got Scout there, is a little bit tentative, trying to get into the fight. And in the meantime, taking all the punishment is Goober there in the Lycan form. And these puddle punches can be somewhat disruptive, but able to back away as they choose Floormen.
And ABG just on an absolute limit there, probably sub 100 HP. Spellbreaker on Shiv. Oh my God. Rocker says, I do not want to die to the Mo and Krill. And he's got the build to do it, man. That is a crazy early buy. DMV rips the ult and cleans up this right side Walker, opening up one of those crucial item slots that the team is just now kind of starting to hurt for. And with all three Walkers taking a lot of pressure now for the melee creeps, they got to pick and choose their battles wisely. Mid boss, of course, up. Anyone who gives up a decisive team fight now could find themselves in a very rough situation against enemy rejuves.
And the other thing about that Spellbreaker is, you know, the minus 18%, the minus 25% debuff as well. But, you know, not going to help in this instance when you're getting, like, gunned down by 3 players. But if those afflictions come in, man, he's not going to take as much punishment from the afflictions.
And the scaling could be starting to come in. Like, Sias McGinnis is up to a pretty relatively significant farm level. DMB has no choice but to take the knock here on the pad, but has Ido gone a little bit too deep without the ulti? Seems like he read it well, though. Just got that nice little harassment damage on DMB and gets out scot-free.
So this is a very nice turnaround. You know, Melee Creeps, you know, a couple minutes ago, they didn't have any presence on the map. Now they've got all the lanes pushed. Now, of course, you know, Floormen, they've been working on that, starting to push the lanes back out. The bridge buffs earned coming up in 1 minute. And we have some roam now from Floormen as well, looking beyond the mid lane to try to see if they can find another one of these picks. And maybe even attract some attention as they are pushing both side lanes at the same time.
Definitely a scary moment here. Forces grouping up in the mid lane. Ido looks to find a target here, going on to ABG's Billy, who's kind of happy to take some of this pressure. Beautiful parry on the puddle punch. Gets him out of trouble, but the combo still comes in. This is very deep on the Walker. The chain gang pulls people way past the point of no return now. And Melee Creeps in real trouble, almost living on ABG. But it's going to surely cost John his life to finish that kill off. Finds himself in a rough spot. Oh, got picked up by Ivy. A little bit awkward when he immobilizes there too. But surely, yeah, just in absolute no man's land here for John. And I mean, just so much pressure. Once again, all landing on ABG. And every time they do this, they get brutally punished. Like, Floormen are not letting you do this for free. As Rocker just poking and prodding from range, doesn't have any knives remaining. Could be a reason to maybe play things just a little bit slower. League still with a lot of gas, though, and wants to be able to finish off this kill. Ido, too slippery on the Calico to allow it to happen.
Yeah, and that full earn control on this left side of the map here for Floormen, and they can continue to pressure the Walker. They can start trying to split push into middle a little bit as well. So the world is their oyster at this moment. You know, the league picks up the spirit buff though, so that's kind of nice. You know, it's going to really pump up the barrage. whilst that's active, so that's something. But what are they going to do to try to stop this urn? I mean, Barrage is up, full ults online for melee creeps. This urn fight, if they can get there, could be a very important fight for them to win, Jake.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. DMB is also going to be pushing down that left side walker, so they're not really under pressure to force this one. And wisely, I think Floormen are going to play this one slow. Melee creeps have brought everyone, essentially, other than John to clear mid, ready to fight this. It's going to be super hard to dunk into somebody like Scout, but if you don't force this fight as Floormen, I suspect that melee creeps are going to find themselves in a tough spot. Like, this left side walker is almost already dead, right? Like, realistically. And yeah, Floormen have no intention of going for it, although Calico, great move from her to snatch the urn away, and that should be a dunk coming in. A little bit of aggression here showing from Goober, trying to fight back for this one, but it seems like it will be a clean dunk combo as well onto Goober, who actually is caught in a rough spot. Affliction onto Shiv, who's cooking now from the damage from Dew's pocket. Beautiful fight from melee creeps. They get urn and 2 huge kills. Yes, they lose a walker for it, but that's the kind of trade you're happy to get in this game state, Dan.
Yeah, and DB's under pressure in mid to get another walker in return as well. Like, they kind of have to do it. The base Guardian's being worked on by AVG as well, whilst all this is happening from melee creeps. Melee creeps, they had everybody on this right lane, so there are other objectives for the taking. Floormen looking to try to equalize there, and maybe we're seeing, as you're saying, Jake, earlier, like this somewhat of a turn in the game just due to how the power spikes are working, because I do think Floormen, there's legitimate fear that, okay, if there's every ult online, especially the Affliction, that's kind of asking for a disaster if we all try to fight that urn against Affliction.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I just got to give a lot of credit to melee creeps. Really well played situation. Like, Floormen were routing them across the map. When, as I say that, hold on, we're up into the next team fight. Floormen say, yeah, nice ults, buddy. Now we're going mid boss. What are you going to do without him? Scout with the roll. Will that be enough to contest this mid? And I mean, Dew is nowhere. He's miles away on pocket. He did not see this coming. Melee creeps caught blindsided right now and making a mad dash to the mid boss pit. They're so late for this one. I don't think they're going to be able to stop it. Quick triple rejuve claim. DMB using the last stand to cover. And now the chase begins. Melee creeps are going to try to find kills that they can here. They grip a combo, but this is into the last stand. Warden, he's tanking up through this. May still be able to live out. 1 rejuve down away. All 3 rejuves down. Hold on with the McGinnis ult. Barrage just burned them all to death. What was that? From side, the damage came out of nowhere.
And they're still fighting though, and they're actually maybe looking to win this somehow. This doesn't make any sense. They've got Shiv on the run. Rocker's getting absolutely blasted as he tries to escape, rejoins his teammates, there's the right click movement to try to escape and somehow survive. I don't know if it's possible because this push, it's not going to stop. You've got melee creeps here that are absolutely sending it. And you know what? Yeah, they didn't have any ults for that mid boss, but they're also coming online in a second. Wall comes in to trap the Ivy. Xeno able to escape though. But again, this Walker's going to be forfeit, I would imagine.
I think he got hit by all 3 bounces from the splatter. What the hell was that? The splatter came down from heaven just to kill Goober in particular. And I mean, honestly, Floormen were like full W after they claimed the triple rejuve. I don't blame them. And they got 6 deaths. Like, their entire team just got completely destroyed through all the rejuves by the McGinnis ult. It pretty much soloed the game. DMB wants to continue forcing the fights, recognizing ults are down for melee creeps. Still a moment of weak tempo for them, despite being down in the 5-on-6. Equalized now to a 5-on-5. Floormen with a great read on the situation. Playing aggro despite the numbers disadvantage, and they could be profiting more from it as they're picking up Rocker and sending him in. Can they get a kill? That's yes onto John. Can they find more? Base Guardian's already low in this wave. Mo also out on the map. And this one has just turned into an absolute dogfight, Dan.
Yeah, and I mean, this is looking really good right now for Floormen. DMB, he's looking pretty strong right now on that Warden, doing a great job. That mid walker's still up, and potentially right now, I mean, this would be a good time to try to pressure it. 3 players down for melee creeps, despite their bounce back around the mid boss. I'm gonna have to look at the replay to really truly see exactly how that happened. That they
I swear it's the McGinnis ult. I swear it's the McGinnis ult killing them all. That's the only thing that can possibly deal that kind of DPS. And I also think that's a good moment for the Floormen to be like, okay, so about fighting into the McGinnis ult, guys, maybe we don't do that anymore. Maybe we recognize that it's not going to happen.
This is kind of interesting because it's like kind of worrying. Like I feel like Floormen got handed such a sick situation where all the ults were burned. There was literally no response to the pickup of the rejuve crystals. There was nothing that could be done to deal with it. The fact that they killed all of them is insane. Are they going to get another situation like that with their head, Floormen? We'll have to see here because they're playing around this
Scout,
position
he's
again.
so annoying on the Viscous. He has to roll to get out of that scenario, but he delays the pickup for like 15, 30 seconds on his own, which buys some time for the Melee Creeps. So how are they going to use that time? That's really the key question here, as it is an even earn. But with McGinnis ult, why wouldn't you fight it, right? For the Melee Creeps, you got to imagine they're going to look for this contest.
I mean, yeah, you got to imagine they will. Again, the problem is always going to be these ults here, Saya and Do, Barrage, and the Affliction. They kind of actually work really nicely together in terms of how much damage they deal. But what is the solution? I mean, it's hard to get picks here if Melee Creeps are traversing the map in a sensible way. That said, Floormen actually have the advantage in terms of how the high ground works around the left side urn.
Yeah, if they can take it.
Advantage.
For now, Melee Creeps holding it down, splitting and trying to farm a little bit of pressure in mid. DMB caught in an awkward spot. Arctic Blast is good. Is there enough follow-up here? Pops the ulti, gives him that unstoppable. A lot of resist now on the Warden as he tries to fight through. Vortex Web delays Calico, who's caught in a rough spot and being fully turned on. Although, ooh, a little bit of a anti-synergy there. Maybe pulls DMB off a chase he would have been looking for here. With some of those key ults expended, they're going to go for this team fight. They're really going to force it. Pocket, no HP to speak of. Rocker cleans that one up. Combo is in onto the Yamato. Mo forced to cancel, though, because of the impending stomp. And now McGinnis in the thick of it. Are they going to try and turn and get the kill, or are they just going to run for it? Most dangerous hero on the map right now easily, as everybody just falls in the withering eye of the heavy barrage. Finally, though, the damage is good. DMB finishes off that threat. Rocker finds another. The Healbane's keeping him alive. The only thing keeping this Shiva in the game is the Healbane kills, and it's just enough. An insanely tight team fight, but Floormen get the cleanup.
Yeah, that's absolutely wild. And now we're even. We're going to, of course, separate a little here off these objectives in favor of Floormen, but the urn also, it's going to get picked up here. There's no one who will be up in time to stop this. This is the moment now where Floormen could take over the game, but the next mid-boss, it feels like that still could be an a significant opportunity for Melee Creeps. Just the sheer threat of the ultimates is enough alone. And I mean, Saya's got that lightning scroll. You got to respect the lightning scroll on the McGinnis ult. It's really nasty. And here's the Undunks just coming in on through.
The only thing I think you can do against this McGinnis is like either burst, kill her, or full disengage from the ulti. Full disengaging feels just impossible in like a realistic game with good players. It just doesn't feel like it's going to happen. Maybe the burst kill can come in, though. I mean, in DMB, Warden, slow as the farm may be, that big team fight gets him up to the top of the leaderboard, 38k souls. He has the Siphon, too. I wonder if he doesn't have a few nice stacks already built up on the Siphon, giving him, I mean, last I saw him, he got around 4,000 HP on this Warden, which makes him a very hard target for the likes of Calico and Mo.
Okay, well, I mean, we've got a lot of cleanup happening at the moment. Minute and a half out for the urn, but the mid-boss will be sooner. And so the mid-boss, really, we could see once again, Floormen trying to bait it.
Why does my Warden have 5,000 HP? Is this a bug or just, what the hell is this?
Headed this way.
So when the resilience buff kicks in, he's still gonna have like 2,000 more HP to get through with the whatever that's gonna be, disgusting 60-70% spirit resilience on his low HP. I want to see him build Frenzy this game, because one thing I do notice is the gun damage is pretty much only John, which is significant, right? Like, he does a lot on his own, but if he's not shooting you, the rest of the damage is all spirit. And so that Spellbreaker plus spirit resilience, Frenzy's been buffed. We haven't seen it bought in like weeks, but I would see it this game.
Oh, yeah. I 100% agree with you. I think it's a great call out. And the fight commences here on the right side of the map.
Oh, McGinnis in trouble. McGinnis in trouble. She goes down. That could be the team fight already over. McGinnis, no HP left, just being bursted. Still, the damage is not able to come in and finish her off. But yes, it eventually does. League hunts it down. Affliction comes in, but it's too late. Melee Creeps routed now on the map. Desperation trying to save Saya. Goober, though, under that threat of that Affliction, has to just respect it, denying the chase for now. Everybody on Floormen is low. They got to be a little bit careful. Maybe over aggro, finding those first 3 kills, not recognizing the rest of the team is still on low HP. John and Do continuing to fight this one out, and it's actually turned against them now.
Yeah, this is looking a little bit sketchy because mid-boss is a potential reward as well, and the new updated Killing Blow can be used as an escape tool. But where are you escaping to, man? You're in between 3 players. This is looking very, very dangerous right now for Shiv. I mean, trying to connect those knives is Rocker, but he's getting bursted down really, really fast. Faster than the damage that the knives are going to tick away against his opponents. And, okay, well, you got to respect it a little bit. It's getting a little bit wily out here. Oh, another knife gets connected onto the Calico. So Calico might end up going down to that.
It's getting close.
Two players
he does. Oh, my God. What an insane fight.
Only 2 players on the server.
I mean, they lost 3 instantly. The affliction alone was just enough, right? We talked about how it's insane of a pocket game this is, and they're gonna go for the mid boss. I don't know about this, Dan. Like,
yeah,
maybe no. They should get this, right? Surely.
Everyone's up now. Yeah.
Because they lost those 3 kills so early in the team fight. It ended up being like the dream scenario because now those 3 are all back into the engagement. It's only Ido on the deck. Should be a free mid boss clear.
If Floormen lose this game, I feel like they're gonna just be hating themselves because the fact that we're here is a tie game for souls, and now melee creeps are going to get 3 rejuves uncontested. That's crazy. This is the biggest opportunity melee creeps have had all game.
And it might be enough, right? Even souls, triple rejuve, a lot of room to work with. Still, I think so much rides on the value of this McGinnis ult. Like, even if you just don't get kills with the McGinnis ult, that might just be enough for it to, you know, really not feel impactful. Nice little wave clear by Do. Being super annoying on this pocket, keeping the macro pressure constantly on Floormen. But as Floormen hostage the Urn in their own base, all you can really do is split and farm the map for the melee creeps. That's nice. It gives you, you know, you're going to maybe come off this rejuve with a 10 or 20k soul advantage. But at this point in the game, it's not really going to break the hold. So I think if Floormen are patient, they should still be in a fine spot to still contest this second game.
The urn has been dropped.
I mean, earlier you said this game's going to go late. Feel like
this game is a burger box legend already. This is in full chaos, man. We've seen a team wiped after a clean triple rejuve, wiped in the next 30 seconds. I mean, like, actually, they're all dead in the next 30. So truly an insane one. We've seen 3 players instantly dying for the melee creeps, and then they come back to win the team fight. I don't know. This one is absolutely too close to call.
Yeah, it's hard to really define this one. Hard to put it in a box. It's definitely a weird one. But right now, I mean, melee creeps, they're looking to have a pretty decisive advantage. The question really is, you know, what do you do with these rejuves? Because they've taken all the objectives. So, I mean, the most basic thing is on the map, well, you know, there's all this farm as well. So they've taken almost all the farm. But what's next? Do you want to go deeper? The game is so close, though, that, like, the defensive advantage in, like, to try to siege the base, it's pretty significant.
Yeah, as a fan, you want to see them push just for the fireworks, but I think it's super scary. I like the Calico positioning here from Ido, though. They're looking to maybe threaten this walker and then just cut off the reinforcements. Curious what League is doing. League is like on the opposite corner, reading this play, ready for the Calico to come, but I don't know if you're ready for this kind of a 1v1. Calico gets the whole burst off, nukes down League, and League's just gonna have to go get a quick reset. And the cutting off of reinforcements from the side Guardian, starting to bleed out under the pressure from Scout. As long as they can just deny some of these extra waves coming in. Calico wants to maybe assassinate Xeno for even attempting this defense. Xeno, though, looks to be actually just fly out of that one.
Yeah, trying to keep that urn control as well. Just
okay.
Yeah, they're gonna get the walker, so it's the kind of minimum expectation. The rejuve still a good amount of time left on these rejuves. Don't let them just time out necessarily. They're gonna get another couple good base guardians. So 4 base guardians, 1 walker. Are they looking for a shrine here?
They're going for it. Here comes the catch combo onto Ivy. She's already bursted out of this one. McGinnis pops everything, though. And with only the Ivy kill to show for these 2 powerful ultimates, I don't think you feel too terrible at this for the Floormen. How are they going to try and fight this one out? Still enough time on the rejuve. You're going to have to give up maybe both shrines and Patron if you really want to wait this one out. They're letting it go down to the absolute wire. Here comes ABG. Rips it in now. Big chain with the Billy. Pulls people deep. Trying to get them past the shrine, but McGinnis wall prevents the pull in. Looking for the drop now are the melee creeps who want to take off the first layer of the Patron. Do pulling a lot of attention to himself on the pocket. Still has the affliction to work with. And some rejuve, so a lot of backups on backups to play with. 1 rejuve goes down. Xeno going to be off the spawn soon. But sticking around for the finish would be very risky now for the melee creeps. They have urn control. Going to fall back, grab the urns, grab the map, get the jungle. Potentially securing this game, but without rejuves, there's still something to play for. Floormen coming out of the map. All 6, they're hunting. They're desperate right now. They're chasing for this kill. They're even letting some of the waves crash on the base. I think they're recognizing maybe they've gone a little bit too deep for this, that Melee Creeps might be able to turn around and get the fight.
Yeah, Owen's going to be dropped off in the meantime for Melee Creeps behind all this action. But you're right. I mean, it's desperation mode. All the Rejuve crystals now out. So there's an opportunity maybe to find stragglers on the map, force a team fight before these players can capitalize, maybe pick up some items and spend those souls. They're going to try to win this fight here, Floormen. But you got to be really careful not to shoot too much more than you can handle. In comes the Affliction.
Affliction
the
missed.
dive
Nothing.
is massive.
He got nothing. 0 connections on the Affliction. A huge mistake from Do, and he's down. Hold on. Do. Brutal death now, and the turn is good. Hold on. Here comes John. Maybe he's going to do enough on his own. Doesn't need the semi-carry. He's going to get it done in the front line, but League Rocker starting to clean up. DMB still tanky, running away. Insane HP, remember, on this Warden. 4-on-4. Creeps crashing on the Floormen base. They don't have much time to work with, but they don't need it. DMB finds another, and it's just Scout and Ido running back to base, taking the reset. And the 0-man Affliction. Do is going to be kicking himself for that one, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming at such speed there. Ripped it a little bit too early. And okay, now that it's time to clean up here for Floormen. They're not too far behind in souls. When all is said and done, they've cleaned up a bunch of this. Wait, hang on. Hold on. We still got more chase coming in. Ido looking to be defensive here on the Calico, but the chase down is threatening. You know, you got League coming at you, but they're going to be forced to back away and then take the value on the map. And that should equalize the soul situation, but the conversion from Melee Creeps in terms of objectives, the way they scaled into the base and dropped the first stage, that was a great value from them. That was very well done. And but it means, Jake, that there is still an opportunity. There's still a world in which Floormen can find their way back in, especially if they can win a mid-boss.
Yeah, this one's still winnable, but the fact that the waves now are going to be pushing against you, 2 shrines down, the first layer patron, it's like one mistake, one moment where you're not ready to defend the base, and that patron is gone. Mid-boss up, and you've got to take the flip at this point. It's a desperate game now for the Floormen. They're going to go gambling. ABG still trying to clear up these side limbs, prevent them from crashing into the base. Scout putting huge pressure on the players in the pit, trying to do what he can to like annoy them, pull them off of the mid boss, and they're going to get off. They're going to oblige him that, and maybe just look for the team fight. This is a must-win scenario now for the Floormen as they go chasing up to the high ground. Do waiting, biding his time, wants to deliver a huge Affliction in this team fight. Goober already low. This one looks like a much better engagement for the Melee Creeps. Multiple players from Floormen just having to back out and disengage. Saya, though, on super low HP, the last stand from Warden does bully back some players, but Do is still waiting, and with the HP bars dropping on the Floormen, this could be the game right now. Melee Creeps finding their way through. Saya does drop. E-shift from pocket is going to keep up, and oh no, did he miss again? Or did he get, I can't tell. It was pretty
I think
brutal
you got 2 players. Yeah, you got the Yamato and DMB there, I think. So there's enough of a connection, and just this very long or prolonged fight here has been very problematic for Floormen. They've come massively behind because of it in a series of engagements, and I mean, Goober's in trouble here. He's getting absolutely locked down by multiple players. He's gonna do everything he can to try to survive, but it's just absolute RIP Goober. Rocker's gonna have, I mean, he's down as well. Basically, he's getting caught and stuck on Ido, and now here's the rest of the team. There's nothing more to do, and I mean, there's only one stage patron. They're just gonna charge it. Screw the mid boss. We're gonna take the map.
Wow. Insane game from Melee Creeps, clutching out some really tough scenarios to bring that one back. Floormen going to be kicking themselves for this one. I think they're going to feel like this was in their grasp. This was their game to win, and they weren't able to close it out. Will they live to regret that in this game 3, or will they be able to just close out the series and you know, all is forgiven as long as you get the win in the end? Man, this is a wild one, and I just have a feeling game 3 is going to be even better.
I mean, what do you do in game 3 after this?
Like, how do you run up this?
39-minute game. This one was ridiculous if you were a fan, because we thought the Floormen were going to lock it up. Melee Creeps finishing strong despite the rejuve. Floormen looked like they were still in it for a moment. Dan, when did you know the catsuit people had it all locked in?
I don't know how to answer that, actually, because you know what? I think it was that
like the last 30 seconds
they lost like 3 players, and then suddenly those 3 players were up in time to then get the mid boss. Because do you know what minute was that, Jake? Was it like 25? I don't even know.
Yeah, so then the right side lane, like Floormen killed 3 instantly, like 3 kills already. And I think they just didn't realize how potent Do's Affliction would be, that they still get clutched up on from the remaining 3 of Melee Creeps. And then again, Floormen have another fight. They have a completely clean triple rejuve pickup. And I think they even had like maybe a kill on top of that. So of course they run in. Of course they try to wipe the melee creeps and finish them. And I think Saya just deleted them all inside one of those cubbies around the mid boss. So this one was completely insane, complete cinema.
A wild game in the end. McGinnis wins again. Is she the best in the game? Stats don't lie. The silver falls for Goober as the Floormen are taken out by the melee creeps. We take a look at some of the best moments. We wondered, what would Ido play? Well, he seems pretty comfortable on the Calico. John on the vent looked great. How was Dew on the pocket? Because that was a pick you called out early in the draft.
I think in general, he played really well this game. The one missed affliction was really brutal because it took what should have been like a game over scenario and give Floormen like one last chance.
A little window. Yeah.
Yeah, but in the end, his a huge affliction is the reason they win that earlier fight. There was a 3-on-6 they clutch out. It's really Dew on the pocket. So I don't want to overly criticize him for like one unfortunate moment.
Yeah, just the late game one.
Yeah, over the course of the game, he did everything he was supposed to.
Ido on fire here in this clip. You see, of course, Rocker with some good moments on Shiv. He got bullied towards the end. In fact, decided to take on 2 characters when the rest of the chat was saying, why didn't he just back away? Were Floormen overconfident here, or was it just individual mistakes that were happening throughout this game, DDK? What did you see?
I think this game was really, really close the whole way through. I don't think that they made any big mistakes. I think there were just some aspects of this game. I think it's part of why Deadlock's actually a really funny sport, where like that pivotal moment we called out, like the timings of when people died and how they died, and just like getting the extra kill and just some of the extra delay because of the outplay that's happening, like all these like small moments, it just kept like resetting the situation into this very dynamic scenario where one team might come out a little bit ahead, but it was hard to predict. And that kind of went back and forth a few different times. But I think if I had to summon one moment for Floormen where maybe they got overconfident and it could have cost them, it was probably when they got the 3 rejuves and they got insta-downed by the barrage. Because that was a moment, if you look back on this game and you're Floormen, you're like, this is the moment where we should have taken over and never looked back.
Exo Wolf saying, great game. Some of the fans saying this is the most entertaining Deadlock we have watched yet. Very fun back and forth battle. In the end, it's a 3-kill difference for the melee creeps. They're going to finish with about a 20k lead in the souls. Dew leading the lobby in souls and player damage. John is going to finish with most kills and 21 assists coming out of Fishcake on the Moen Krill. Is there a clear MVP candidate from both teams at this point, Jake?
Oh man, I don't even want to think about MVP, man. Like this game is so insanely close. Like both ends. I feel like DMB had a very big game. This game in particular, though, for Floormen, really impressed me. I feel like Goober's been great, Rocker's been great all series. For melee creeps, you got to give a lot of credit to Saya's execution. Right? Think about that one giant fight. I think you're exactly right, Dan. Where I don't even blame Floormen. Like, I would have done the same thing. I would have been like, guys, like, we got triple rejuve.
Right.
We got, like, a kill. Like, let's just run it down. Like, what's going to happen? And then McGinnis just, like, locks and loads and absolutely
unstoppable, baby.
You. So I would have made the same mistake. I'm sure a lot of armchair gamers in the chat. Obviously I would have known. Like, no, this character is just different.
Different for at least now. We'll see when the nerfs come closing in. Shout out to TK Breezy hitting us with a raid of 31 people. I hope you are enjoying the night shift. I saw you in our main chat, and I know you've been doing some watch parties recently. TK, one of the great commentators in esports, crushing the FGC every time I see him. DDK, though, let's talk about melee creeps. They are now on match point. They are now looking at an 18-match win streak. What is going to be the most important thing in this next draft? Is it frontline? Is it going to be picking out those burst characters, or is it keeping the viscous out of Goober's hands?
Ooh, there are so many answers you could come up with for this question. Oh, and what I think is so awesome about this scenario is that unlike almost every funnel that we would ever have, like usually what the way it will go is a draft. There's continuity draft to draft of like, okay, this worked, this didn't work. We'll take away this. We'll like give the respect bans. Okay, this is working for you right now. We'll take that away. Melee Creeps decided to just like drop a bomb on like all of that in this last draft. So like, where do you even go? There's like, what precedent even exists right now? I don't even know how to predict this next draft.
Been wild stuff. Jake, do you need a break?
Let's send it to one man.
One. Yeah, fine, Obs. Rest your fingers, take your one bathroom break. When we come back, it's the final fight of the night. Shift number 30. We'll be right back. It's night shift number 30. We're here for a game 3, and the Melee Creeps have dropped their 3rd game in history against the Floormen. That was back in game number 1. Now we just saw MLC clutch up, and I have a feeling they have all the momentum going into this game. DDK, is that the story? Do I have it right?
Momentum. I don't know. I don't know. That was a really close game from start to finish. So I don't know, man. I feel like there's a lot of great stuff for both teams.
Yeah, Jake, I need to know about some win conditions for both of these squads. How has it played out so far? Is there anything that you can simply dial in on, because this game is incredibly complex?
Yeah, in the end, I think because Melee Creeps just dropped such a crazy bomb on the draft, it's so hard to evaluate. You know, like you said, Dan, typically we see a series where the drafts are relatively similar, game 1, game 2, game 3, and they're just like a little tweak. Oh, I'm going to draft this instead of that for, you know, my front line or whatever. And instead they just go a completely different direction. They do get the win, but it is not not that it wasn't convincing, but it's like, it is incredibly hard fought. Like it was back and forth throughout. Like, did not feel like you had like the super dominant draft that could never lose. Like, no, you were arguably behind for most of the game on Melee Creeps, and just like we said, it comes down to these like couple moments where Melee Creeps snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. So going into game 3, honestly, I just think if I was coaching these teams, I'd be like, guys, mental reset. This is just a new game 0. You know what I mean? Like lock in and just play Deadlock, because everyone has to be a little bit, I think, like on edge. Like the adrenaline is pumping for the players' last 2 games. We're going deep on the night. Floormen, I still think they have a very good chance to win this one. They crushed game 1, game 2. They arguably should have been able to close out, and so there's no reason to think why they won't be able to just execute a little bit cleaner and more conservatively in a game 3. But Melee Creeps, they're just so wily, right? They find these ways to win when no other team can, and that's the reason we're even here going to game 3.
Historically on YouTube, our best performing videos, it's the NA Grand Finals. A game 3 should set some new records, especially if we get another 40-minute brawl. It's time to find out who is not going to be on the playing field, as Melee Creeps have the honor of banning first. They're going to get rid of the Viscous, taking it away from Goober. Floormen, they have the door open. What do we do here, Jake?
So, all right, Melee Creeps have first pick. Do you just ban the McGinnis here? Because they did take it first, or I guess they took it in their top 2 last time because they were second pick. They're going to ban the Venator again, though. So Floormen just saying, look, we have to deny this from John. Melee Creeps are in a weird spot now. You could go the McGinnis, but that would probably give up like a Geist and a +1. And the state of the carry roll right now is, I think Floormen will be pretty happy about that.
Yeah, Floormen will be able to get their IV opener. Okay, so they picked Celeste up. That's cool. That's a different look. By the way, this is like super interesting too, because
McGinnis,
like Floormen played so well last game, you almost don't want them to change much. Like you said,
I want to see them
like
go back
in the
like
right spots.
It's one of those games where I would, if I was coaching them, I'd say, guys, look, just play the same game again, and we just need to like recognize these moments where, oh, we got those 3 kills. We're still afflicted. We need to back off and reset. Even though we got the 3 kills, just reset and we'll still have 30 seconds to push after we're back and healthy. Oh, we got the mid boss. We got all those rage jubes. Let's be a little bit careful grouping up into the McGinnis assault, right?
If you don't take McGinnis here, they get it. So they are going to take the Ivy McGinnis. This is what won them the challenger match to open up the day in NA.
They also dominated game 1 with it. I mean, like, this is the combo that they've been trying to get all day. And they're saying, hey, look, you give us the chance. We will take these top 2. Yes, you can have Celeste. And you're going to get some very potent picks here. They get the Geist as well. They could go for like a Billy 3rd. Like, they could get some of the most premier heroes.
Yeah.
Is Silver better than Billy, or do you take Billy first?
They're very different roles, right?
Yeah, they're similar in a sense, but I think Billy is super valued in competitive play for his ability to team fight. Like, pulling everyone in on the chain is incredibly potent, but they feel like the Sinclair is even more crucial, which could make sense against the McGinnis, right? In particular, this matchup gives you something to punch back with.
So the Billy ult is also like particularly useful to lock down a Celeste to actually like just kill her, because otherwise Celeste is very mobile. So maybe Silver can kind of do the same thing with the bowler and the slowing hex, the silence waves. Like maybe this is like a way around that. But I think this is interesting too, because Floormen, they did win that game 1, but they did get Ivy, Guinness, Celeste were the 3 openers. So they're going to be missing some of that insane work that Rocker was doing on the Celeste. So where is Rocker? What is Rocker going to play? He's been on pivotal heroes every game.
I'd like to see him again on the ship. I think he played a strong game last game. I still believe the character super potent. I kind of like it against Geist too, especially with the longer range on the Shiv's ulti, right? Even though it's not as reliable, not as good for getting chain executes on, when all you care about is just finishing off that low HP Geist, arguably it's better than it was before with that extra range.
Was there Floormen Calico they were worried about?
Right, that's true. Yeah, in the first game, AVG was on Calico, and he had a really good lights out game, and they get Mina. I think that's actually a really big win.
Actually, yeah, it's huge, right? Because we've been talking all day, like the Warden, it's okay. It just doesn't have that same, wow factor as the Venator and the Geist do in the current meta. But Mina has been one of the few carries who feel like can keep up. And in the games where things have getting more and more chaotic in tempo, I like to see it. This is always like the hard carry Mina, the EU style, where you're just active on 5 players, and even Mina starts getting into the fights very, very early on. It's like a very aggressive tempo style that I think is great for the Floormen.
Billy going 8th feels like a big value on the other side for melee creeps, and they pair it with a Mo and Krill. So frontline is locked in. Floormen, what do you got right now? What do you need, DDK?
Well, they don't have a lot of frontline right now. They're kind of missing that. So, I mean, what's left? Mo's been taking Billy's been taking Abrams. I don't know. Do you want to go that way? Okay, well, obviously, shit. We were just talking about that. We're just talking about the Rocker ship. But still, I mean, I could see more frontline being even added here potentially. Yamato could be an interesting. I don't know actually, because Yamato against the Geist matchup is not the best.
Duty bound to fight.
And
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
The MB, bro.
Of course. All right, I will say in his defense, it did look okay last game, even though they
6,000 HP.
And maybe there's something to be said. I do like the character with McGinnis quite a lot. It gives like the reliability to the trap much more than you would expect typically. Yamato, though, is, I think, a much nicer pick for melee creeps. Like, to your point, Dan, I agree. I don't know if it would have been good for the Floormen, but I think melee creeps are going to be really happy to get this. There's not so much lockdown on the Floormen draft, and that amount of just, like, face burst from Spirit, it looks like melee creeps, I think, have a really sick draft. Floormen are really banking on the nastiness of this McGinnis-IV combo to carry them through, and the entire lineup for the melee creeps has me pretty worried.
Can I ask a little bit about the Yamato? She's going either 10th, 11th, or 12th pick when she does get picked. DDK, why is she being selected at the end of these drafts? What does she add?
So Yamato adds like catch and frontline and also like burst spirit damage. Also, she has a lot of utility around, especially around the mid-boss fights because of the ultimate, and also objective fights because of the ultimate. Like, she can become a very highly scalable, unstoppable force into the late game, and also has like a powerful early game and a powerful mid game. So Yamato's like very impactful in that respect. And I think if we're like looking at the lineup that Floormen have, I think Yamato's Knight can be nice against Mina. It can be especially nice against the McGinnis, because you want to be able to burst the McGinnis down very quickly, and Yamato can close the distance and become that threat. So there's, I think, a lot of utility that Yamato has, and getting her this deep, I think is really nice. I don't know if I hit all the points, Jake, but if you have anything to add.
I agree. I think Yamato, she really is insane at snowballing the game. I think one of the best frontliners to get that kind of a snowball rolling. And I think the reason you pick her late in the draft is just feeling like, hey, you can get that lane going. You have a confident lane pairing where you think she can be pretty dominant. She can start the game off hot. The danger with the pick is that I think if you find yourself falling behind, where someone like a Billy or an Abrams still has some powerful control tools that are still going to be useful, even if they're, they don't have the net worth to really deal much damage. Yamato, she's all damage, right? So if she's not killing those players off, if she's not, dropping really heavy nukes on the enemy health bars, you kind of regret being on the character. So a lot rides on the laning phase as we get into this one.
Game on, DDK and Jake bringing you Game 3, the money match for Week 30 Melee Creeps versus Floormen.
Hell yeah, we're getting underway. I mean, the conclusion of this series, I mean, this is a crazy threat. Floormen looking to dethrone Melee Creeps. They look legit. They've been playing exceptionally well. And we have this situation where the drafts have gotten very interesting. One of the most interesting, I think, back-to-back drafts that we've had. A bit of the respect bans, a bit of like a new strategy around, like centered around the McGinnis and the new Ivy, and then in addition to that, then you get Melee Creeps nuking the next draft and like picking outright respect bans and stuff. So this is the game to end a great series for sure, Jake.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like this one could go like a complete range. I wouldn't be shocked to see a team blow the other one out and have like a crazy snowball game. And I also wouldn't be shocked to see this one go very, very deep once again. League getting his hands on the McGinnis, though. This is what he's been wanting to play all day. Beautiful trap on the Billy, getting a huge amount of Guardian damage in on these players in the early trade. That is the dream scenario for a level 1 trade, though.
Yeah, that's like a super ideal wall. If it was like a little bit less tight, I mean,
he like could get out of the range, and
yeah,
that's gotta hurt for Fishcake for sure.
Yeah, really, really nice. Again, if you're new, if you're trying to figure out your early laning phase, your HP is the resource that lets you do anything. And speaking of which, we get a pretty huge engage here, deep around the shop, and I mean, DMB's gonna die. I feel bad for DMB sometimes.
I mean, he went in aggressively and just got clapped down. Like, they were like, thanks for trying, guys. Saya, John back leading together. Saya on the Sinclair. I mean, he's such a cerebral player. It'll be interesting to see his approach to this game, getting some of those ulti steals off as things develop. AVG happy to use Shiv's movement to do a quick box run. Quick, definitely the name of the game here.
You know, it's been cool to see every single game that you get the like League and Xeno getting those two priority picks, Guinness and Ivy, that they're just always laning together as well. And their lanes have been pretty damn consistently good too.
Not much advantage to speak of for either team. I think they both want to get into that mid game relatively unscathed. Opportunities to find people maybe on some cheeky box routes are always a nice opportunity to get that advantage. But I mean, the level of these two teams, I think there's a lot of respect for them in the early game. Like, no one really tries anything too crazy at this phase of the game because they just know it's more likely to get punished than to actually get you much of a reward. When people roam, they're pretty much just box running.
And I gotta say, for me, in this game, I might be most focused, or one of the biggest focuses for me at least, is I think Rocker on this Mina. You know, we've talked about the impact Mina can have. We've had Rocker on a variety of different heroes all throughout, and they're all really important. And you know, the ceiling for outplay with Mina, and like you said, Jake, before, you can get very active on Mina, and it can be extremely difficult to deal with, and you can snowball off of it. But it's very hard to do it well.
Headed to blue.
And like this, everyone's been taking the boxes. It's a freaking desert out here. Goober checks like 3 locations before finding more boxes.
So we have this combo before as well for Floormen. So not only are they getting the Ivy McGinnis combo in the lane, the Silver DMB or Silver Warden combo for both Goober and DMB. It's also been proven to be very effective. It's not having as much success against the Geist and the Sinclair just yet.
Yeah, I think Sinclair is just a hero that is like never ever gonna get Warden trapped because he just teleports out, you know, like
true
with the assistant. So that one's pretty difficult to really see the value. But once the slowing hexes, silence waves that we know Floormen like to build start coming out, then things could start to shift. Heavy investment in the rune control. It looks like actually, is this going to be two runes? 2 melee creeps. It does cost them 1 kill. That might be a trade you're willing to take. I mean, those urn buffs or rather those rune buffs are quite nice in the early game.
Yeah, they certainly are. And right now, you know, we've got this lane that we have League on with this McGinnis is getting pushed a little bit, trying to work their way back towards that tower, but they're going to get stopped short because in comes the Billy. Looking to slam on down, and You know, they're trying to defend this bridge position, though, Floormen. They're still up on it. So they've managed to, you know, ward away the melee creeps players. They're beginning to take over this lane. And it does take some time sometimes in the early laning phase for you to get some abilities online to become more of a threat. But speaking of threat, Yamato and Billy in your face is problematic. And there we go. Close range with the McGinnis ult there, using the splash damage. Isn't going to be enough. I mean, with the ult there from Yamato, they make it look easy.
Yeah, they just get right on top of her and refuse to back down. It's an all-in commitment, but it does pay off. Getting that McGinnis kill slows League down. Deny some of the progress. Talking about Rocker earlier, by the way, he's on 5.3k. Looks like he's leading the server pretty much right now. Has that 4.8k spirit buff online. And McGinnis and Ivy, I don't think they're going to be too upset about losing the McGinnis there. Like, it's not ideal, but in the end, it was a gun buff to Fishcake. Like, he was going to be strong in that moment, and you're not really taking any kind of pressure on the tower. And that's like what this McGinnis and Ivy do. They just seem to sit in these lanes until eventually, by attrition, the enemy tower dies.
Been a pretty uneventful early game so far, I gotta say. It's just been pretty chill. I think you were mentioning that. Not the team taking really any particular risks. Everyone's just kind of grinding out the early lane. However, the Billy Yamato, it is very difficult to deal with. The chase down here onto Xeno on this Ivy. He's not going to live. He's very dead. Surely he gets a bit of a heal there, though, and he's up still.
The McGinnis heal's cooking the turrets, also slowing down the suppressor from McGinnis, denying some of that damage and ignoring McGinnis. Something you do at your own peril. Huge for Xeno to be able to live that one out. The stolen ulti, Porden ulti, trades enough. Asai is happy to, I think, give his life for that one. Because with the rotation in of Do, now the mid lane Guardian could be under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, they do have a priority here on this mid lane for the melee creeps. But, hey, AVG's in, and he's looking to say something about it. And AVG actually on Shiv. You know, this is a hero that AVG used to be, in the old Shiv times, pretty exceptional on.
Yeah, certainly he's no stranger to the Shiv. 7:45 now, 15 seconds till those Sinners come up. Team's starting to think about opportunities to maybe get a little aggressive in those side lanes. Mo scouts people out, though. It's mutual. Fighting Mo. Maybe they're going to collapse on him here. 4 players coming in. He's sort of playing like he's invincible. Usually you are on Mo and Krill. But beautiful 4-man rotation for the Floormen to punish Mo for his hubris.
Yeah, and starting to clean up some of these early Sinners as well. The 8-minute mark spawn timing is being respected, and we get a steal as well. The opponent's Sinners as well. The accessible one next to the Guardian getting dealt with. So a pretty nice advantage to get early here for Floormen. And I think this has been one of the cool things, Jake, in this series, is that just looking at the game from a fundamentals point of view, Floormen have been great. I mean, they are going pound for pound against melee creeps.
Scout holding onto the combo. Would love to be able to deploy that. Find a key kill, especially around this mid Guardian. A lot of rotations from both teams. This looks like melee creeps bringing a little bit more here, but without the waves and with Ivy defending, it's going to be pretty unlikely, I think, to commit from mid Guardian without players already hitting the deck. Scout going to be happy to just get what he can out of the boxes. And I mean, both teams just eco-maxing this, man. Just like full, like making sure every box is cleared, getting whatever they can out of the map, feeding as much as they can to their solo laners. Speaking of solo laners, by the way, you do not want to be solo on this lane against Mo, but pushing the wave into his tower, he's going to be forced to show himself.
Yeah, some cleanup there from Mo, getting the cold fronts online.
I see wooden.
Really nice. Mo feels a lot more fun now, and with the updates, played quite a bit of the new Mo. Spirit Mo.
Aggressive build for Billy. Usually we see a little bit more green investment from Billy, but he's going heavy damage. Wants to snowball this one. Get some tempo rolling. Become that sort of secondary carry for the squad. A little bit of pressure as well on this side Guardian. DMB on the Warden. I don't think he's all that interested in trying to make a desperation defense. Like, if you get comboed by Mo, you are just dead in this spot. Ido flying.
Yeah, way more focus around these bridge buffs, and that's where all the players went there. So it might be an advantage. You know, DMB's going to lose that Guardian, but there were 2 players there from melee creeps. So, okay, what does that translate to? More players for Floormen to pick up this urn and to maybe work some of the other objectives. So it's all about the trade game here in terms of these resources. And Xeno, he's carrying that urn across the map, and he's going to meet this mid-fight in a second, which is dominated by melee creeps.
Oh, wait, getting the flying from Rocker is just not quite enough to get him out of there. Nearly played his way out of that scenario. Looked really desperate. And now, wait, hold on. Ivy trying to run this urn. Mo gets the interception. Combo onto the Ivy there. Stolen Sinclair. Turning it around now. And even disarms the Silver. She's going to maybe struggle to get her ultimate off. She just has to run for it. Guys considering a chase down, but under Walker, just a little bit too desperate. Urn gets back into the hands of the Floormen, but with Cooper on slivers of HP, I think you really need to rethink going for this too aggressively. And DMB tries to harass players away, but even he recognizes this one looks a little scary. Going for the all-in dunk is a possibility here for Xeno, but it's a little bit risky. He's going to send it anyway. The Warden ults enough to make space. Solar does get snatched away. Saya, good quick melee to read that one. DMB with the last stand is actually pumping the damage. John forced into a swap, but this one actually looks pretty scary. Now here comes McGinnis ult as well on the other side of the map. Just doing what you can as Saya, but it's just not enough. He does get the dunk in, but it costs him his life, and most of the souls are going to get denied. So as the dust settles, huge team fight for the Floormen, winning across the map. McGinnis making a solo kill with her ulti on the left side. I'm surprised it's not a bigger soul advantage.
Yeah, the way that it breaks down seems favorable regardless, though, for Floormen. They are going to crash some creeps on the left side walk up, but this mid Guardian, I think, is definitely a big point of focus now. Bringing a couple players of Floormen back towards the middle part of the map, and there's definitely presence here from melee creeps to prevent that Guardian from going down. This mid Guardian is a big advantage to have in terms of map control, and in fact, maybe looking for a fight. You know, the combo is a big threat, especially against Mina. You cannot afford to get caught by that if you're Rocker. And, you know, keeping distance, but in the meantime, DMB is going to get some love as well, but it's a combo against the Geist. Didn't see that coming. In from the back, Goober doing what he's been doing all day on Silver.
Yeah, misread from John was up past the creep wave there, and rotation came in from Goober to punish. DMB was more than happy to kind of bait Geist to stick around a little bit too long. Beautiful movement from Ido. I don't know what we know him for, but he's able to just slip away without really losing much health. What could have been a little bit of a stickier situation for a less experienced player. Big combo from Mo, pulls Ivy out of the air. Combo is canceled, but the beautiful wall, even better from League. Trying to get his buddy out of trouble. As the tower starts to fall, I think they're going to have to back up yet further from this one. The threat from Billy, very real. He's looking for maybe a continuation dive here. Going up against the wall, though. She's splashing it on the wall. You can't be outranging that. Beautiful stuff as well from the Ivy. The McGinnis Ivy combo dominates Billy Celeste. What a world in Deadlock right now.
Oh, yeah, what is that statement? What does that statement even mean? Oh, my God. You're totally right, though. That's crazy. We're just seeing how it's so hard to push into the beginners if you know the tricks. And where does that leave us? You know, we've got an 8K advantage for Floormen right now, as they're kind of taking over the game a little bit, but there's still a lot of capitulation, you know, things that they need to capitalize on in terms of converting some map control into, you know, eating up some of these creep camps. And I mean, it's still pretty even in terms of the overall map control, so they can't get too aggressive into their opponent's jungle just yet. So it's a slight advantage, but it's not one that can really, I think, climb any further right now, Jake.
Yeah, see how they decide to play this one. Down a little bit of souls. Melee creeps have found wins in this kind of a scenario before. Billy getting gone on in the mid. Sort of an unlikely kill target, especially since he already has Dispel Magic. Really valuing it this game. Up against the Shiv, up against the Warden. Hell, even the Mina, the Silver, you could end up needing to dispel yourself and, you know, kind of get out of trouble. They don't want to yield up this mid tower at all. That's why they're parking the Billy here, just defensively, like forcing it. Foreman, if you want to take this mid area of the map, right, get Prow, you're going to need to invest a lot of resources. And for now, I don't think they're all that interested. They're kind of content to farm up and get closer to these bigger item timings. McGinnis has all of her core kind of basic items up. Ulti is maxed and likely building towards Unstoppable coming soon. So Saya's going to have his work cut out for him trying to steal these ults and get away with it in these fights. They're going to be very aware of the threat of Sinclair.
One thing I noticed is that at this point in the game, there's no silence waves online just yet. I would imagine we'll start to see a few of those coming into play in the next couple of minutes. But we do have the 15-minute earn. This is often one of the more pivotal ones that we tend to see, and it's stolen away by Goober.
Wow, I can't believe he gets out with that one. And getting Prio is really huge in this kind of a advantage situation for the Floormen. Now that they can control the urn, they can kind of force a team fight on their own terms. Rocker trying to do what he can to put some punishing pressure on. Mo's always looking for those combos, though, so you want to be a little bit careful as somebody like Mina getting a little bit too active. Dude doing his best on Celeste to keep the wave prio pushed into McGinnis, but Goober coming in over the top. I think you're going to have to respect this urn. The dunk is maybe he's going to come in. I mean, Celeste is trying to just defend this solo, but does, I believe, get the urn knock away, and he's fighting with that Shining Wonder. It's getting a lot of value, but in the end, the silver ulti just cooks them this time. The heavy barrage ends up more being for show in that one.
Yeah, did a lot of damage chunking down that Celeste before the assist comes from Goober. And I mean, you know, Melee Creeps are trying to calculate this. Okay, they're like, okay, we're going to probably give up that but we're going to try to pressure the right side of the map. But Floormen also, they didn't overcommit to the urn either. They had just the amount that they needed, so they were able to fend off the push on the right side of the map. So what ends up happening is what you see in terms of the score difference now for the Souls. An advantage for Floormen because they out-macroed their opponents in that particular passage of play. So Floormen, we talked about this earlier. Like I just want to mention it again. Like these guys are playing so well from just the macro standpoint that they're going toe to toe with Melee Creeps' macro.
Yeah, and they're giving McGinnis a solo wave, a solo lane for a ton of this game, and that's why she's 20,000 souls on McGinnis, which is insane. Should be coming up on some powerful items very soon. Goober caught, comboed, hexed, still gets the Lycan transform off, but it's just not enough. Shadow transform comes in, but you blew a lot for that kill. Is it going to be worth it? Floormen trying to come in and get a punish in. There's two players not in this fight, so for Floormen, I don't know that they really want to keep this one rolling. A stolen last stand from Saya, pushing players away. Nice little movement tech from AVG, but it gets caught out of the air by Billy the Rising Ram, delaying the Shiv. But chasing down the Shiv underground is just a little bit too much to swallow in this one. DMB running for the hills. Absolutely no HP left. Did he maybe get away? John desperate, just needs that one last bullet. But he says it finds a Shiv right up in his face. And without the swap on Geist, I don't know that you want to stick around too long in this one.
Thank you to Jax Levito for the 10 gifted. Just saw that out of the corner of my eye.
That brings us to 614 gifted from Jack. He must love silver.
Oh my goodness gracious me.
Floormen played that so well, actually. Like, despite getting picked off, I feel like they had the way better trade, and now it's resulted on kills across the map. The resource war, I mean, you lost the battle, but you kind of won the war there. Like, the resource trade was so bad in killing Goober that you kind of got bullied out of that side of the map entirely. Now two players fall. Now Floormen get the opportunity to send it on the mid boss. Saya, what's he going to be able to do into this one? Maybe some magic. He's going to need to pull something out of his hat because this is looking like a clean rejuve for the Floormen. Melee Creeps lacking the ults to make this one a reliable, consistent contest. Stoneform comes in, an instant triple rejuve. Floormen call the bluff. They say, you're not ready to parry. And they claim the entire prize in the first millisecond of that being up. The wall prevents the retreat. McGinnis says, I know you want to run. You cannot. Floormen, they've lost one rejuve. They aren't finding too many more kills just yet, but it seems like the crack's starting to show now. Ido is down. 5 streak for DMB. League loses the last of the rejuve, so the Floormen got to play their lives for now, but the health is just not there on the Melee Creeps. Goober full sending it now. Sticking on top of Fishcake, getting those slowing bullets procced. Nice movement from Fishcake. Can he break this chase? Be huge escape to find, but the slowing hex back into the human form on Silver with the bullet as well. Needs help, but actually can't find the kill. So well played by Fishcake to pull out of that one.
Yeah, and in the meantime, you know, they've carved out Floormen a 20k advantage. So this game is looking, I mean, you mentioned earlier, you know, you couldn't predict if it would be very close or a blowout for like either team. It's looking slowly but surely like Melee Creeps are just getting consistently outplayed. Just you know, it's not nothing big, but it's just like one player after the next. And I guess this mid boss was really the, you know, the biggest example of what that's converted to, because there's been enough of a gap that actually looks pretty straightforward. But at least Melee Creeps did get rid of every single rejuve crystal. That's actually massive work, and I think it's worth it. But how do they play this disadvantage now, Jake? 25k at 20 minutes? That's a sizable difference.
Yeah, and they're lacking some of the tools they were able to use in the previous game, right? To bring it back with like the McGinnis, with the pocket, these like incredibly high damage AoE spirit tools. By the way, a catch now on Yamato. She's caught. She's silenced by the Nox Nostra. She's trying to slip away into the underground. Holds on to the Dispel Magic and the ulti. Could be looking to turn this one, but not popping it just yet. And he just recognizes even with the shadow transformation, it's just not going to be enough. So I think that's a smart play from Ido. But in the end, that's your Yamato down. Opening now to go for the aggressive earn dunk, and I think Floormen are going to snatch it.
Yeah, Floormen managed to pick up this comeback earn against their opponents. This is going to be absolutely devastating. There's nothing here. There's no one home. No one to answer the door. It's just a freebie. And at the same time, you know, you do have a trade coming through. You've got the work being done by Do here to try to take down a Walker in exchange at least. And there's no response. So that's a nice pickup there to find for melee creeps. They do have mid lane Prior as well as the right lane Prior right now as well. So definitely some stuff to work with on the map here for them as they are now getting chased down though. I don't know if Billy's going to survive this. Fishcake will go down.
Yeah, they get big value on the side waves. It's nice. But in the end, you give up a lot in the middle area of the map, and it's still you feel no closer to being able to take a proper fight with the Floormen, which is ultimately what you're going to have to do to win this game, right? It's I guess you have the Mo, but in the end, this is not going to come down to pickoffs. These teams are way too good for that. And Floormen, with full confidence, like they've been really striking. Anytime there's an econ mistake, anytime there's some ulti tempo is a little bit off for the melee creeps, then they've been punishing. And so honestly, I feel like we got to say Floormen are playing amazing Deadlock tonight, like super clean stuff. This is what we talked about from melee creeps week in, week out, how stable their macro is, how consistently they generate those advantages and can kind of freeze out the map. Feels like how Floormen are playing right now. They're just, instead of trying to end the game immediately, going for something forced, they're just eking out a smaller and smaller advantage over time.
How much of this is thanks to DMB's incredible Warden play?
I got to give him credit. He's been just elevating throughout the entire series. This is the best Warden game yet. And I feel like probably more than his individual Warden play, his comms are just having so much influence on not just a map like this, but a day like this, right? The craziness they've been through in the last 2 days. This is a huge test for some of the leaders, some of the communicators on this Floormen team. And so far, it seems that they're passing it.
One stat I have to bring to our attention is 5 kills to 20. The melee creeps have only had 5 kills so far, and they've conceded 20. That's a massive difference.
Yeah. And
I mean, obviously the kills don't often tell the story in terms of the souls, but it does tell the story a lot in terms of the trades and fights. And so that's a big problem because mid boss is coming up very soon here, Jake, and you'd expect that's going to be melee. The melee creeps can't allow that to go for free.
Little snatch pulls Goober out of trouble. Ido forced the shadow transform and super low HP. So just getting kind of bullied and boxed out of that one. It's a long cooldown ultimate, so melee creeps are going to have quite some time where Ido's going to struggle on the front line. And it's something we were talking about in the drafting phase, how, Yamato is a character that wants to be ahead of the game, wants to be bursting people down. Wait, hold on. Speaking of bursting people down, AVG in a brutal spot. Big stone form comes in from Ivy, but the McGinnis ult from downtown League is in, and he's absolutely eating them alive. Full build McGinnis now online. Already found 2 in the fight. Scout just had to completely run and disengage. The only way to survive it. And Scout's been League quietly side laning minutes on end and just shows up with a monster team fight. And that's Midwalker.
Yeah, able to kind of rush the Unstoppable and the Lightning Scroll. Like, that's, I mean, I almost feel bad. Do you even need the Lightning Scroll? Like, come on, man. Like, give him a chance.
Ido in trouble. Ido's in a terrible spot. Still alive for now, but in really rough shape, gets pulled in, and Celeste dies in his stead. Beautiful plays from Xeno in this fight, from the clutch stone form to save AVG to the Vortex Web catching more in. Ido got pulled into a terrible spot behind the McGinnis wall. He manages to escape, but losing Do is almost a higher price at this point in the game.
Yeah, full map control for Floormen now, and it feels like the smoothest sailing, the calmest seas that you could ask for them at this point in the game. They've got the mid walker up as well still, and I mean, the thing that we were talking about earlier was like, what's the comeback potential? And yeah, without the pocket, without the McGinnis ult, like these big ultimates to turn the mid boss fights, because that's really, if that goes 2 in favor of Floormen, the game, it kind of gets over.
Floormen, they have this McGinnis ult up once again. Can they find something? They've already found Fish Cake. And you just got to disengage, man. I mean, Saya is just completely out of this one. Has to clear off the mid wave. Could still teleport back if he wants to take that engagement, but you're just bleeding players, hemorrhaging them, right? And now 40 seconds, no Billy. You could go for the Urn Dunk here. Although maybe they just take the Urn to mid and say, hey, no Billy, no team fight. Gonna send it once more. League has the full build. McGinnis with the turrets preset in the pit. This is the dream scenario for the Floormen. Melee Creeps were able to snatch an unlikely victory in a previous mid-boss engagement, but that was last game. That was a different draft. Vortex Web comes in. Ido, he's just not there in time. The Shadow Transform out of position, can't get the parries, but it's just all Floormen all over the pit. John just doesn't feel like he can even come into this fight playing the high ground, poking and prodding. But it's very little help. Cold comfort to the 4 Melee Creeps members already hitting the deck. And Floormen get everything they wanted and more out of that one, Dan.
Yeah, it's too clean. Way too clean. 40k difference. Get another... This is the second comeback urn that they've managed to get with no contest. It's a very different look to the previous map and the map before that as well, I gotta say. And right now, Melee Creeps, they've only got 2 players up. It might not be that way for too much longer because the pursuit is on. They've found Fishcake, just hanging out on the Billy.
Nice move from Fishcake to like slip away into this room, but ooh, if he gets caught, he went deeper on this one. If Rocker sniffs him out here, this is another free kill on the Billy. Like Billy's caught in a spot, he has no way to retreat. He's just kind of gambling on them not checking, not clearing him. May have gotten out for now. Goober, oh, he's just farming the camp. Yeah, so I think it was enough of a juke for Fishcake. Waiting it out, but he's behind enemy line now, behind the wave.
This is the largest soul lead we've seen in the NA Grand Final. So GDK, what is needed to finish this game for the Floormen?
Combos on cooldown.
Forfeit. They could forfeit.
I mean, it's so brutal, right? It's like somebody has to make a big mistake and get like comboed and bursted. Somebody has to be overconfident and going for like a solo play that gets comboed down. I feel like Rocker has to be head on a swivel this game because Mina so vulnerable, even with a high net worth, of just getting comboed and bursted. No matter what you buy, you're never going to really have the tankiness to deal with that. So you just can't afford to be caught. By the way, guys, can we get what's a check on the Melee Creeps' current win streak? Because I think it's about to come to an end. This is game point. This is Floormen on the verge of ending a multi-month reign of terror by the Melee Creeps. Took DMB 2 games with this squad to get it done.
Yeah, it's a really impressive performance, and I think one of the reasons why it's so hard to imagine any world for them to for Melee Creeps to come back is just because Melee Creeps have been playing with great discipline throughout this entire match. Yeah, there's been some like situations that are highly dynamic that didn't go their way, or like that one thing where they lost all 3 reduced crystals to McGinnis. But like these are just like very minor things in terms of if you weigh it against all the things that they've been doing correctly in the macro, the team play. And as they start to demolish the base Guardians, it just feels like the whole game has been taking one small advantage after the next, and now we're seeing the result of that. And it adds up to a huge advantage as they absolutely delete the Magician. Sai gets taken out, and the base is getting destroyed.
Yeah, all of these tips are going to the players as well. Keep them flowing, guys.
Goober up in the front line right now, wants to end the game here and now, smells blood in the water, but they're taking huge damage from the Shining Wonder from Do. You got to be a little bit careful about that one. But with the Rejuve Crystals online, playing with the House Cash, AVG low has already consumed 1 Rejuve Crystal, has to be the one who's most cautious, but the big stone form on the 3, Xeno, disgusting stomp right on the doorstep of Melee Creeps, and with the Patron dropping first layer down, you're not going to have Scout or Idol for this fight. Floormen can end this here and now if they want to. And I think they're going to go for it, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, what is there to respond to this? For Melee Creeps, they don't even have like a mega fed carry. There's nothing to work with. It's all gone. Everything is getting destroyed. They're going to dive the pit there to just make the Hidden King invulnerable, try to scrape together something, but in a war of attrition against Floormen, they're going to wipe you out here. They've got so much more just on the numbers game alone, and they're going to pursue every frag. And now the Hidden King is destroyed. That's victory. That's the streak to an end. Floormen looked phenomenal from start to finish.
What a journey for the Floormen, right? We showed that history. They've won a couple maps in their entire history playing against the Melee Creeps. They've lost time and time and time again here in the finals. Many teams would have quit. Many players would have given up. Many have. Many teams have boomed over the course of Floormen building this up. Finally, DMB joins the squad, and it seems to be the missing piece. They really pull it together today in a brutal test of a day, really. Like long, challenging games, getting a really rough comeback from game 2. You kind of gave that one up. A lot of lesser teams would have mental boomed, would have started to believe that maybe the melee creeps are just destined to keep winning. But Floormen kept believing, and game 3 was a tour de force, man, a showcase that they're the better team today.
I remember when melee creeps were the up-and-coming squad, challenging in grand finals and falling short. Well, here they are. DMB leading the way, a 10 streak at the end. Now they're walking away with up to $1,000. 975 seems to be the prize pool top, and we had some massive donations coming in as soon as it looked like we were going to have an upset. DDK, do we have a new fan favorite squad?
Nightwalker X99 just dropped $300. Oh my God! All right.
Let's go.
So that's fully cheering for an underdog victory. Much love. All right, huge support there.
Thank you so much for the support. We appreciate it. This was a community-built show. It still is community-run with some of your favorites behind the scenes and on the mic. But on your screen, who was the flashiest here for the Floormen tonight as they finally dethroned the creeps, DDK?
Oh, like an MVP? Oh my God. That is actually very hard to call. I bet you could make so many different arguments here. I almost
not most impactful. Let's just go sexiest. Who did you enjoy watching the most?
Enjoy watching the most? Maybe Goober with, I think, all the silver play, I think was phenomenal, but I am still thinking about DMB, like on this Warden, like Jake wasn't wrong. Like we don't see impactful Wardens really, but game after game, DMB was like having to play the role. It's not really super meta at all, but DMB made it look really good and had massive impact consistently. I'm kind of leaning DMB.
Yeah, you got to give credit to League too, because I mean he just single-handedly warped the meta in this series. Like the McGinnis play was like you had to do these crazy things to deal with it. You know, were just like had melee creeps kind of stumped. I also want to shout out Xeno on the Ivy. Like the dynamic duo between him and the McGinnis was massive. Like some of the stomps in this game on the Ivy, those stone forms were just backbreaking to what melee creeps were going for. So huge props to the support there on the Floormen. Not always going to get like the flashiest stats, but there when it really mattered.
You can see Shiv on fire throughout most of this game, at least in the second half as well for the Floormen. They had a 50k soul lead, and they are going to double that near the end. They crushed their way into the Hidden King's lair, and they finished this one with a massive upset. After 17 straight wins for the melee creeps, we have a new champion, the Floormen. Kings of Night Shift 30. We take a look at the numbers. If this is going to help weigh in with some of our MVP voting, I think you need to look no further than DMB. Jake, this was a 3-game match, though. What did you soak in across the whole series?
Really impressed by Rocker as well for the flexibility. Like I feel like every game he was solid, and yet he's playing all these different characters, arguably almost in different roles depending on what he's playing. But he makes it look like they're all absolutely in the wheelhouse, comfortable. AVG game 2 was getting just absolutely hard focus. Like every fight on Billy, he's just getting everything thrown at him, and still managed to kind of navigate his way out of those scenarios, you know, on occasion. And you know, game 3 I think is a statement game. No deaths on Shiv. Very, very solid performance from him. So honestly, just across the board for the Floormen, like this is not a win. Like melee creeps are too good of a team to be beaten by 1 or 2 players having a big game. You needed everyone in the Floormen to show up, and they all did. They all came together to get this win. So as much as we're gonna eventually award an MVP, it really did feel like a true entire team.
It was a team win. It was a team win, setting each other up for success. They walk away with a massive upset, and we have a lot to celebrate on the channel tonight. We challenge you to help us reach 20,000 subscribers over on youtube.com/Deadlock Night Shift. We're at 20.1, Jake. We just passed our goal over on twitch.tv. We're nearing our 700 sub goal. We're trying to get back up over 1,000, and we are now finally making money from the ads. With all of you spreading the gospel of the YouTube videos going up after the broadcast, we're able to pay our observers at least 5 meals a week, Jake. DDK, we'll get the official numbers from the CFO off screen. But what should we talk about here for guys that are young, 18, 19, 20? They're playing here as the challengers against the melee creeps. What does a small check like this do for your confidence and the momentum to play the game forward?
I think it's it's one of those things where it's about the achievement, it's about the prestige, it's about like actually seeing, I think, getting a taste of the future. It's just obviously a small taste as to what we all imagine is possible. Maybe we're thinking of the heights of the international, but getting your hands like dirty with like these grassroots tournaments is really how you start to build confidence. You start to build like a narrative in your mind of okay, yeah, we were able to win these tournaments. It's different than just scrimming, because the tournaments is where everything is on the line, and so that's the true test of you and your opponent. And so for you to come away with a win there is irreplaceable, I think, in your journey as a competitor. So I think it's so cool to see these competitors that we've been following all throughout the Night Shift history, the evolution of them and where they've come from, and as we've alluded to, and where they are now.
Massive props to Goober as well. He told everyone in the interview with Liz he has the confidence in himself and in his teammates to be the best team in the game. Well, at least they're the best in NA tonight. We welcome DMB onto the show to talk all about it as another $25 tip comes in. DMB, the people are rallying behind your squad tonight.
Speaking of tips, what's up?
$350 came in after the game was over. What's it like getting the fan support out of the gates here? I know you guys tried 6 times. You finally get the job done on number 7.
Sir, I think it feels pretty good. We've been doing a lot of work, scrimming and shit, and VODing and thinking about the game, so it feels good that it pays off.
And the McGinnis is what Chad is all kind of harping on. That was the easiest thing for us to point out every time the heavy barrage is there. But what else kind of played into your guys' success against melee creeps in particular?
There's a lot. So I think it starts with like energy for sure. We have good energy and shit, and dedication to the game and passion. And then the next is openness. We're very open, and we got a lot of humility and shit. And then cohesion. Those are the 3 pillars that we preach over there on our camp, and that's why we can upset such giants. David versus Goliath.
Go ahead, Jake.
I love hearing like the core values of the team, man. You joined this team like a few weeks ago,
Professor Jung. Shout out Professor Jung.
You got to march into the beat here. So very, very impressive stuff from you guys in the squad. I just want to know from you, maybe personally. You were on the melee creeps, right? And they thought, you know what, we can do better without you, right? And maybe there's other ways to put it, but that's what it means, right?
100%.
In the end, so I want now is your chance to like, what does it mean to come back on a different squad and get this win, ending their 17 game streak?
It feels good. I mean, I love those guys. I love playing with them for a long time, and we got a lot done on that team. So it definitely feels good, like because they kicked me and then we got revenge, but. I mean, GG's to them for sure. I mean, they're fucking just all insane.
Were there any body crouching or any body shots that went in tonight from you?
Any controls? No, there's no controls, no bodies.
No control spam.
Just straight class. Winning with class.
You guys did it the right way. You did it the right way.
Exactly.
Which it's a lot when somebody's won 17 times in a row. There's a little bit of wiggle room there, but you know what? You did it the right way.
You're teasing it. You want to drop the balls on the fucking on the character, but you can't. So.
I mean, dude, we saw it. We saw the respect. You insta pause when you saw Ido just like running forwards. Yeah, we were on you. We were making the point actually on the broadcast. They're like, we got to give credit to DMB for this one because he doesn't know that we were actually on your POV when that was happening. So you could have maybe
shot him in the back.
It, maybe they're not looking.
We saw on the Lash's POV of you parrying, realizing I'm so fucking dead. This is the Lash here.
Exactly. And then he was just such a helpless victim. It's little Ido coming up and he's just not moving. It's you just have to pause.
Well, I got to ask you a question about the inner dynamics on the team because all the values that you said that you guys are carrying. I'm curious, what are the the different players on the team bringing in terms of some of this extra stuff? Who's leading the VOD reviews? Who's spearheading some of the theory or spearheading some of the values and encouraging them on the team?
I think it's everyone. I think it's a culture that's definitely been changed on the team, and I think that's what's good about it. It's not just one person, it's everyone buying in and everyone being on the same page. Back to the cohesion point, the pillars of success.
Are you the official voice and coach of the squad, DMB, or
I wouldn't say so. I think we all. I think it's like
mechanics?
communal. I think it's communal for sure, and we all like contribute equally to the success of the team, and like the comms and everything.
It's a good leadership answer right there.
Yeah, and it goes back to the passion thing. Like these guys are hella passionate, right? Like I mean, they kept coming in and week out, right? And just like they would get slammed sometimes, they would lose, but they would just show up the next week and just play, you know. That's the resilience. That's resilience in the openness.
Well, you got to have a lot of passion to go up against your old squad. It was showcased your willingness to play whatever role, including a warden, which we thought was going to put your team at a disadvantage. For all of the warden mains that were cheering you on, he's still the guy, right? He can still be used.
He's still him, bro. He's the competitive he's the big boss. He's the sheriff.
Yo, I gotta come in from the top rope with a question here.
This guy.
No. We're coming in with the top rope. Right now, a team has been lurking in the wings. Maybe they're gonna play next week. Maybe not. We're trying to get them to play. Do you fear Hydra Nation if they come to play next week?
I mean, fuck yeah. I mean, you fear no one, but you respect everyone, and I definitely respect those guys. Drash Nash, bro. I mean, it's hydration, you know. I mean, he's the best to ever do it. You can't really you can't say nothing bad about him. Any team he's on, there's always a chance to win. So you just we gotta prep a lot if they're playing.
Fellas, final questions before we let DMB go pop some bottles with the fam.
I got nothing, man. Just enjoy the celebration. This is a big win. You guys end what felt like an inevitable streak for the Melee Creeps, right? Like I felt like they just couldn't lose, and you guys had to come in and play an incredible series to get this one done. So just big respect, big props to you guys.
Yep. W Jake.
Much love. DMB, before you go, you're streaming, or who's streaming from your squad tonight? Where can the fans keep watching you guys?
We might pop open some streams here and there, maybe I do, or probably Goober definitely will stream.
Goobster.
I might pull up. We'll see. Okay. I want to say one last thing though. Hey, shout out Arctic, shout out Lord and Nem, and AVG. Those are my shout outs.
Okay.
Well appreciated. All right, congrats on the win. That is DMB. We got to go through the highlights, hand out an MVP, and officially calculate all the numbers because we were sprinkled with a few 10s, 20s, a $310 bonus towards the end here. Everyone celebrating a new king in NA. It's the Floormen. DMB is your MVP with 43,000 souls, 10 kills, 2 deaths, and 13 assists. He dropped 27,000 player damage. Jake, why was his warden so impressive?
I love the build. Just goes like very tanky, very just like straightforward. I will be the guy in the front line, taking these brawls, and it ends up paying off. 10, 2, and 13, a great way to close it out. But as we were saying, this is a team effort, right? It took the entire team coming together, huge performances across the board to get this series win. And in the end, while we got to award an MVP to DMB today, this one feels like one of the most team collective wins that we've had in a long time on the night shift.
Running alongside Goober, had some really incredible highlights with the silver. Then he had some plays on his own like this. You got to charge him, Mo. What do? You just keep backing up and laying it in. He uses everything, and Mo gets melted by the squad. DMB leading on the comms. He said he's changed some of the mentality, and he's got some hungry teammates playing alongside him. I have a feeling this is not their peak yet, DDK.
Yeah, I mean, they have a great launching pad to keep getting better, and what's pretty scary is that they held this game together with great fundamentals that didn't ever seem to really break. That obviously there's might be some small things here or there that maybe went wrong, but that's, I think, Deadlock, and I think that's why Deadlock is interesting to watch, because you can't account for everything. That's just the nature of the game, but they were very consistent. This third game, actually, I think really showed the potential difference between the two teams, or that's possible at least, because Floormen won because of just super consistent fundamentals across macro and all the individual play, and so to me, I think this team's going to go far. The fact that we had an insight into how strong the culture is, I think that's a very positive sign, and I'm so stoked because we get another really, really competitive team here in NA.
We started with Hydra Nation, then it was the sneaky Golem's turn. Melee Creeps took the throne for 17 episodes finally, and their 7th attempt with DMB on the squad. Floormen now take them out, and they do it in a game number 3. That is back-to-back game 3s here in NA, and we hope the action continues as close as it was tonight next week. Does Hydra Nation accept the invite? We have to find out. They have a good reason to participate because we're going to have new bonus payouts with a bounty system currently in place. Our CFO working behind the scenes with some great brains like Low2 and ZP. Jake, one more time, how's it work?
I mean, he's got us all here on your screen right now. Shout out to production for making my life very easy. And the interesting thing is we thought of this bonus idea in this era of like Abrahams and melee creeps just winning everything. And we're like, how can we spice it up? How can we add more interest, more engagement, even if other teams maybe can't get the win? But now we may have to think about like do we want to, like, this is a new
build
era.
Bounties?
Should things be different? Because for the first time in a long time, there's really competitive play in both regions every single week, and it's kind of just been getting only more and more that way. So I feel like we're starting to see some of the true potential of Deadlock Esports, and I'm just happy to be here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. 30 episodes in, we have officially filled up all of the terabytes on our producer's computer as well. So if you know a guy who works at a micro center, someone who's just got access to a bunch of hard drives, give us a shout. We like to do it as frugally as possible here, giving all the money we can to the players. Priority this week, let's talk about who was in play and what was needed alongside them. You look across the big bands. Celeste, if she wasn't first picked, she was getting removed quite early, DDK.
Yeah, I think, we saw a lot of the typical stuff here. I think the rise of McGinnis is really, I think, one of the most surprising things.
Yeah.
And alongside that goes Ivy, but obviously people already respect the value that Ivy has. And I think almost the fact that it paired with the McGinnis, I guess even better, is actually very interesting as of a prospect. Sinclair also made a big appearance, and I think Pocket as well, kind of re-entering some of these more frequently picked heroes that I think had disappeared for quite some time. And I think for me the major surprise really is somewhat of the drop off of Paradox in this most recent meta of Deadlock.
Yeah. I mean, there's such a huge gulf between North America and Europe. Like NA is all over the McGinnis. Like all these bans on Viscous, I think, are all from NA. So huge prio differences in North America, where Europe people are playing, a really fast style around a lot of catch and chase down heroes. So just makes me more hopeful for, like, I would love to see that international land someday coming to Deadlock and to really see who's the true best in the world, especially as now even the best in each region is hotly contested.
Dan, if I want to get better at the game, what do I try first, Shiv or Billy?
Probably that's an interesting one. I think Shiv is easier to play right now, because obviously at the lower levels you don't really need to know all the movement tricks. To be honest, you can get very, very deep with Shiv without knowing the shotgun movement. So I think the Shiv knife build is like pretty straightforward and pretty low risk. He's very tanky. It's hard to kill him. So I think he's kind of good in that respect. I think Billy takes a lot more nuance in knowing how the in-fight dynamics that I think can be a little bit harder for a beginner player.
Drifter and his buddies at the bottom of that win rate graph, and on the pick side, if you look in the top right corner, that's who you want to play. Mina, Silver, McGinnis, all having fun on our show. Billy, the most picked hero, though, is split at 46% win rate. Is that just because he's getting prioritized either in the first or second pick, Jake?
Yeah, definitely. I think Billy's still a very, very strong character. He's just picked so much that, he's not going to have that crazy of a win rate. I think he's just more or less played in every game because he just gives the competitive teams exactly what they want. 100% win rate on Rem and Viscous, although I believe it was one game.
One for Rem.
Yeah, 1 and 1.
And Viscous was banned twice in the one time that it was won. It was not by Goober.
So always, it's cool to see. I'm excited to see how this graph develops with more data. Warden, he's swimming. He's trying to get his little head above water. He's just barely there. He's on the cusp.
30 episodes in, and we still don't have a Deadlock Night Shift t-shirt. Well, you're finding us some new terabytes, some hard drives. Let's start working with some t-shirt creators. I know some people from TikTok store. We can get this going right now, DDK. For now, I think I'm done working. Do we have anything else that we need to plug, Solomon? I exited out of the Runner Show a long time ago. We've got some super special stuff in the works. We can't tell you about it until the contracts are inked. Until then, you have our thanks in advance for all of the support. If you haven't already, drop the subscribe, hit the follow if you're watching over on Twitch. And if you really want to support us, join us through the Patreon or become a member of the show. We have a graveyard shift that you don't want to miss. ZP and Jake were on the mic with some good friends, and we got plenty more content coming your way each and every Wednesday. We'll kick off next show 4 p.m. Eastern with more from Russia and the rest of Europe. We'll see you then.